Twitter, Rumble. Subscribe and watch News Talk STL.
This is the Fox News Rundown.
Thursday, October 13th, 2022. I'm Jessica Rosenthal. It's for Republicans to gain and Democrats to hold. We're less than a month away from midterms that will determine if one-party control in Washington, D.C. is over. And in the U.S. House, members of Congress and their opponents are fighting for every vote.
My prediction to you is that in the closing weeks, the 1-2 punch of inflation and crime is going to deliver a victory to the Republican ticket.
I'm Dave Anthony. The U.S. is in conflict with Saudi Arabia over an oil production cut which could cost us at the gas pump and at home.
If you're heating your house with heating oil, you're going to be paying double, if not more, what you were paying a year ago, and maybe even higher.
And I'm Jimmy Fallon. I've got the final word on the Fox News Rundown.
Some races are tougher than others in these midterms, and candidates in about 31 House races considered toss-ups in the Fox News Power Rankings have just a few more weeks to make their case to voters like Ed Johnson, who lives in a town 20 miles northwest of Philadelphia in the swing state of Pennsylvania.
Crime, the economy, open borders, the fentanyl crisis, the government's not responding the way that I think that they should.
And in such a close state where election margins can be quite tight, the acting Secretary of State, Lee Chapman, says people may have to wait days for results. She said during a Zoom conference this week, they can't start processing mail-in ballots until Election Day.
We're not like Florida, unfortunately. We aren't going to be able to call an election the night of the election. So it's important that we're setting these expectations. It's not because anything nefarious is happening.
But it does mean some potential nail-biting. The Fox News Power Rankings list Pennsylvania's Senate race as a toss-up between Democratic Lieutenant Governor John Fetterman and Republican Dr. Mehmet Oz. But there are 2 congressional seats listed as toss-ups as well, including District 8, currently held by Democrat Matt Cartwright, in a district former President Trump won and would likely have won as well even after redistricting.
Jim Bognett, he'd take us backwards. He'd take away health care for millions. And pre-existing conditions like COVID-19, they won't be covered.
Polling has been limited here, but the Republican Cartwright is facing, he's fought before, 2 years ago, and he lost to Cartwright by 4 points then.
Well, we feel fantastic.
Jim Bognett is the Republican House candidate in Pennsylvania's 8th District.
Following redistricting, this seat up here is an R+4 seat. We are running against a very liberal Democrat. He's voted with Joe Biden and Nancy Pelosi 100% of the time. His name is Matt Cartwright. He's lied to voters here and said he's a moderate, and he's voted like a progressive to send $1,200 checks to illegal immigrants for the Green New Deal agenda. Our internal polling has us up by less than a point. It's going to be a race to the finish. We have 4 weeks left. We were very blessed yesterday to be called one of the top 5 bellwether races in the country by Axios. Everybody knows that if we could beat Joe Biden's lapdog, Matt Cartwright, in Joe Biden's hometown of Scranton, that will be a huge repudiation of Biden's liberal agenda. And the headlines in the paper the next day will say, Joe don't know Scranton, and Joe Biden's going down in 2024.
The seat is a toss-up, as you've indicated, and based on previous votes applied to the new redistricting lines, this district, even though it is home to Scranton, where President Biden was born, would still have gone for former President Trump, if I'm reading that correctly, but not by that much. You are endorsed by former President Trump. I imagine that helped in the primary, but has that been less of a help now? Like, what's the vibe you get from your district about that?
Well, President Trump won this district, the new district, by 2.9 points. The president's policies remain really, really popular here. President Trump wanted to build a border wall and actually address illegal immigration. The people of Northeast Pennsylvania want that. My hometown of Hazleton has been devastated by illegal immigration and the crime and fentanyl trafficking that have followed it. Number 2, President Trump wanted to stand up to China. China has devastated our manufacturing industry here in Northeast Pennsylvania. Not until President Trump came to office did we start making gains in manufacturing employment. And folks want to return to $2 gasoline and a pro-American energy approach. My opponent, Matt Cartwright, has voted for the Green New Deal, said he was totally fine with expensive gasoline, and now we have expensive gasoline. We just paid for home heating oil here. 200 gallons were over $1,000, and that is going to be devastating to working class voters here. So President Trump remains very popular, and we are grateful to have his endorsement.
You focused in one of your ads on Northeast Pennsylvania being a place many might grow up in, but end up leaving and not returning to. What do you hear from people in this district about their concerns about that point you're making?
Well, I speak with people every day that are in their 60s and 70s, and nothing is sadder than when you talk to a grandmother and she talks about she never sees her grandkids because her son or daughter had to move away to New York or Washington, D.C. or Florida or Texas to find a good job. And people are very concerned about that. This is an area that's lagged economically. Matt Cartwright, my opponent's been in office for 10 years. And over those 10 years, we've lost jobs. We've had some real challenges here in Northeast Pennsylvania. And I want to have an economy, and voters want to have an economy where the young people can stay. And that's why we're focused so heavily on economic growth, making this inflation go away that Joe Biden and Matt Cartwright have caused. I'm running for Congress to try to jumpstart this economy, beat back the Biden tax increases, beat back the Biden-Cartwright inflation, and make this an area where folks can live and grow and carry on.
Let's zoom out for a minute from your district, because the whole state really that you're in is a big focal point. These midterms, District 7, the open 17th, but also that Senate race. The Democrat there, Lieutenant Governor John Fetterman, says that he will be much more recovered from his stroke by January when he would be sworn in if he won. And the Real Clear Politics average still has him ahead of the Republican Dr. Oz. In the governor's race, too, the Democrat is ahead. I just want maybe your insight, given that Pennsylvania historically is such a swing state. Even if you're skeptical of polling, what's your sense about some of these numbers that the Democrats seem to be doing much better than Republicans in some critical races?
Well, I think the honest to God's truth is that these are all very tight races. This is a swing seat in a swing state. People up here are independent minded. Sometimes they vote one way, sometimes they vote the other way. But here's what I will tell you. Our polling has consistently showed us ahead, but very much within the margin of error. In recent weeks, we've seen Dr. Oz come on incredibly strong. His message about John Fetterman's radical extreme agenda, coddling of criminals. John Fetterman let criminals out of jail as the head of the parole board en masse. He said that was a priority of his. Crime is a big issue in Philly and the suburbs, and people here in Wilkes-Barre, Scranton, and Hazleton, they don't want crime to come up here, and that's why I was delighted to be endorsed by every major law enforcement organization. Just yesterday, we announced the state troopers of Pennsylvania endorsed us. People want a tough-on-crime approach up here, not a Fetterman-Cartwright soft-on-crime approach. My prediction to you is that in the closing weeks, the 1-2 punch of inflation and crime is going to deliver a victory to the Republican ticket.
Let's talk about you and your career for a minute, because you worked at the U.S. Export-Import Bank under the Trump administration. And I will read from the website what the goal of this federal agency is. When private sector lenders are unable or unwilling to provide financing, the Export-Import Bank fills in the gap for American businesses by equipping them with financing tools necessary to compete for global sales. In doing so, the agency levels the playing field for U.S. goods and services going up against foreign competition in overseas markets. Now, what did you learn about trade, and maybe specifically our relationship with China, in that role?
Well, I'm so glad you asked about China. When President Trump took office, his number one directive to folks like me that were lucky enough to work in the administration was to get the economy moving, bring back jobs, and make sure that China wasn't stealing our jobs. And what we tried to do was make sure that our manufacturing was not at a disadvantage to China. We wanted to push and make sure American manufacturing could do better. And boy, in those 4 years President Trump was in office, we made some amazing gains. Our manufacturing came alive. A lot of that had to do with getting natural gas down in price and much bigger in supply, so manufacturing companies could have a good energy source. But I learned about China. They are rapacious. They are, in many ways, our number one strategic competitor. But it's gone more than that. They steal our intellectual property. And I believe that going up against China will be the defining foreign policy issue of the next 50 years. But it's important here in our hometowns because they are coming after our jobs, and we must beat them.
On the economy front, you come now from running what you call a small business, JRB Strategies. At least that's what I see on LinkedIn. But I understand you worked on Wall Street for a while too, right? Were you at Merrill Lynch?
Very early in my career, my first job out of school was working there.
Well, it sounds like you do have a little bit of perspective working on both ends, maybe a big firm with lots of capital versus, smaller business. what do you tell potential constituents about your insight into the economy, into inflation, given that you have, varying vantage points on business?
Well, the number one vantage point that I have is growing up in my family's construction business. My dad is a general and mechanical contractor here in Hazleton, Pennsylvania. So I grew up pouring concrete and digging ditches, and I've seen the struggles my dad has had since 1969 when this business was founded. And, I'm doing this interview right now from the office and yard where my dad's construction business is out of. And I just see every day the challenges. We have materials challenges, the supply chain under Biden and Cartwright is very challenged. Labor is a very challenging situation. A lot of older workers have chosen to retire because of the COVID protocols. It's been a very challenging situation. And what I tell them is inflation has been caused by the Biden-Cartwright spending. They spent $6 trillion that we didn't have. They borrowed it. Of course, that caused inflation. They targeted the fossil fuel industry, made it harder for Pennsylvania firms to export fossil fuel, oil, gas, struck out at pipelines, got rid of the Keystone XL pipeline. They made the number one input cost, energy, go up by more than 60%. It's crazy. And now we're seeing the wages of that. We have out of control inflation. So my career and what I know about economic policy is you have to pay the piper someday. You can't keep borrowing and spending, or else we're going to bankrupt our future and cause crazy inflation. And we are here, and now interest rates are going up because of what Biden and Cartwright and Pelosi did. And I think we're already in the Biden recession. I think it's already started. And we need to turn it around, have a pro-energy policy to get this country back on track. But unfortunately, Biden and Cartwright have put us into a ditch, and it's going to take us a little bit of time to get out. But the first thing we could do is elect a Republican Congress in 27 days.
Finally, you've worked on political campaigns too. I understand you worked with my former governor, Arnold Schwarzenegger, and Mitt Romney, and you worked on Martha McSally's Senate campaign in Arizona. I just want briefly your thoughts about, I guess, your own journey in the Republican Party, because after all of that, you ended up, working with and backing former President Trump.
Well, I was honored to get started working for my representative, Lou Barletta, 20 years ago when he ran for this seat. I was a volunteer for him, and he really inspired me about how a normal small business guy can walk out of anonymity, put his name on the ballot, and try to make his city and his region better. And he served us here for 8 years in Congress. So he really inspired me to get involved in politics. One thing I've learned is there's all sorts of people in politics. Most people have their heart in the right place. They want things to get better, but it's very easy to get off track. And I guess I'll just say, I think my opponent, Matt Cartwright's gotten off track. He claimed to be a moderate. Now he votes liberal. He claimed to be pro-life when he was elected. Now he's pro-abortion. So it's very easy to get off track. I think having seen it up close, I know who I am. I know what I believe. And here's what I believe from the bottom of my heart. Our country is at the brink. We need to turn things around, and we have amazing ability. We have the ability every 2 years to pick our leaders. And so I would just ask your listeners in 27 days to go to the polls. And if they think things are going well, maybe vote for the other side. But if they think we need a change, if they think America deserves better, if they think their family deserves better, I'd hope they'd vote for me, Jim Bognett, and other conservatives up and down the line.
Jim Bognett, thank you so much for joining us.
I appreciate the time. Thank you so much.
We have reached out to the Cartwright campaign and hope to speak with him in the coming days. If we do, you'll hear from him on this podcast.
This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1 and NewstalkSTL.com.
Let's see, if something costs less, but people are happier with it, that sounds like something to look into, and that's MediShare. Maybe you've heard switching to MediShare to pay for healthcare can save the typical family $500 a month, and that's huge, but it's also true that people are way more satisfied after making the switch, too. The customer satisfaction rate for MediShare is double that of the typical health insurance plan. Double. MediShare works. It's been around for more than a quarter century, and members have shared more than $3 billion of each other's bills. People love having telehealth and a huge nationwide PPO network. So yeah, you can save a ton and like it better. Imagine being happy with how you're taking care of your health care. So if you're self-employed or part of the gig economy, or you just want a plan you're happy with, you can call right now and get a price within 2 minutes. A very, very smart use of 2 minutes. Here's the number you need. 844-94-BIBLE. That's 844-94-BIBLE. 844-94-BIBLE.
Paid for by Christian Care Ministry. Are you seeing the telomeres here? Come here, look at the scope.
Dr. Ocasio's lab startup just discovered a gene therapy breakthrough.
The cells have already doubled.
He needs a fleet of research assistants before this breakthrough breaks them.
We need lab techs, research assistants.
Indeed can help him hire great people fast.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. We instantly connect you with quality candidates whose resumes on Indeed match your job description. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
We tried Dynovite nutritional supplement, and after a couple of weeks, we noticed a big difference. Our little Gizmo's coat was shinier, and there was a lot less scratching and shedding.
My dog smelled and scratched constantly. We bathed and sprayed her, took her to the vet, but no results. Now, a little Dynovite in her food helps Bella keep her beautiful coat with no scratching or smell.
Happier, healthier with every bite. Over 1 million pets helped with Dynovite.
Columbo and Katie.
Packed show on Thursday. We'll talk to Crane Durham at 2:25. Then we'll go to the nation's capital and check in with Washington Examiner White House correspondent Christian Daytalk at 3:05.
Weekdays at 2 on Newstalk STL.
Columbo here for Agers Heating and Air Conditioning. We trust Agers with our home because their number one priority is doing right by the customer. Temperatures are changing outside, and as we transition from warmer temps to cooler ones, if you have any issues keeping your family comfortable, don't wait. Call the great team at Agers so they can address the issue before it gets worse. Because whether it's repairs or replacement, Agers is there with the clarity and attention to detail your home deserves. Contact Agers now at 636-242-6515 or through their website, callagers.com.
Hello, St. Louis. Do you suffer from dry cough, static electricity, shocking the pet's nose when you go to pet them? Then you're in need of an April Air whole home humidifier. Jones Air and Water will install an April Air 600 model in the month of October for $650. For all News Talk listeners, find us on the web at joneswater.com or call us at 636-899-1040. You can be a filter or buy a filter. Jones Air and Water, 636-899-1040.
In times of economic uncertainty and chaos, your money means nothing. You may not even be able to get it from your bank or ATM. And the money you do have in the stock market will go down and down. What you can bank on is gold and silver. Gold and silver have been a reliable and trusted form of currency for thousands of years. Gold and silver have never been worth zero, and typically gold holds its value during economic turmoil. Call the Gold Hotline now and learn how to protect your money and your assets with gold and silver. And learn how to set up a new IRA or roll over your current one into a gold-backed IRA. Protect your money from the next market crash with gold and silver. Call now for your free gold guide.
800-281-4224. 800-281-4224. 800-281-4224. That's 800-281-4224.
So many ways to listen to News Talk STL.
Come join the conversation.
Enable our Alexa skill. Hey Alexa, play News Talk STL.
Welcome to News Talk STL, conservative talk radio for St. Louis.
Always streaming at newstalkstl.com or on your radio at 1019, 94.1, and 99.1 HD3. News Talk STL. News, analysis, and opinion. Welcome home.
Face off with Penn State. And he's set! The best pregame, the best announcers, the biggest games. Oh! Big noon Saturday. Penn State, Michigan. Saturday at noon Eastern on Fox.
Now, a look at what's happening from the Fox News Rundown.
Good morning. It's Thursday, October 13th. This is the Fox News Rundown. The House panel investigating last year's Capitol riot will be holding a final hearing today. We have more from Fox's Jared Halpern.
This afternoon's hearing is likely the last public session for the Select Committee. The panel is expected to lay out new findings about what former President Trump was told about protesters arriving in Washington on January 6th and present video of taped depositions done over the summer, potentially including one interview with the wife of Supreme Court Justice Clarence Thomas. The work of the committee will continue beyond Election Day with a final report of findings and recommendations expected by the end of the year. At the White House, Jared Halpern, Fox News.
Americans on Social Security will learn how their cost of living benefits will be adjusted today. A look at what we can expect with Fox's Ryan Schmelz.
The Social Security Administration is expected to announce the largest benefits increase in recent memory for those receiving retirement or disability benefits. That's mostly due to the current level of inflation. The nonpartisan Senior Citizens League projects the adjustment to be 8.7%, which would be the biggest annual adjustment since 1981, raising the average retiree benefit of about $1,600 by $144 a month and about $1,700 annually. While the increase will be helpful to many, it can reduce eligibility for income safety net programs and cause some people to move into higher tax brackets. Retirees will start to see the increase in checks starting in January. Ryan Schmelz, Fox News.
Well, candidates in critical swing states and in tight races will debate today, and that includes Michigan Democratic Governor Gretchen Whitmer and her Republican opponent Tudor Dixon. Wisconsin Republican Senator Ron Johnson will go up against his Democratic opponent, Lieutenant Governor Mandela Barnes, in their second debate, and Georgia's Democratic Senator Raphael Warnock will debate Republican Herschel Walker. I'm Sue Guzman on the Fox News Rundown.
This is the Fox News Rundown.
This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1 and NewstalkSTL.com. Decision 22 News.
Inflation, gas prices.
Decision 22 Analysis.
The things the American people want to hear about.
Decision 22 Opinion.
Same old tired talking points.
In St. Louis, Decision 2022 happens right here. News Talk STL.
Hey, Columbo here for our family dentist, Dr. Matt Boscia at New Creation Dental Care, a one-stop solution for all your family's dental needs, including braces. Dr. Boscia uses the My Forever Smile Braces system, which straightens teeth many times in less than a year for half the price of traditional braces. Traditional braces or Invisalign can cost $6,000 or more, but Dr. Boscia only charges $29.98 for My Forever Smile, and incentives and insurance can lower the price even more, plus New Creation offers in-office financing. Learn more at newcreationdentalcare.com.
The Vic Porcelli Show.
Tim said, how about pseudo-fascist? That's probably the best. But they're not using it. See, somebody said, no, they didn't say quasi. I said quasi. I gotta remember what I say.
Well, I just don't know what semi-fascist could possibly be.
Half fascist. We're fesh. Semi-fascist would be fesh.
That sounds like the popular term.
The kids would say, yeah. Oh my God, Ken, you're right. What's the sitch? Well, I'm a fash.
Vic Porcelli, weekday mornings at 9 on News Talk STL.
Crime, corrupt public officials in City Hall, residents moving out of St. Louis at a rapid pace, all due to the one-party rule that's damaging the city of St. Louis. Navy veteran Republican Robert Crump is running for State Representative District 82 to make a difference. Crump will use no nonsense, just common sense. Conservative solutions to solve our city's problem. On Election Day, make your vote count. Vote for Navy veteran Robert Crump for State Representative. Paid for by Citizens for Crump 2022, Mary Teresa McLean, Treasurer.
We stand on the shoulders of the women who came before us.
Women who were told they were bad with money.
Women who couldn't even get a credit card without a man co-signing.
Women who fought for their own financial futures.
And now it's our turn to lead the way.
Join us at WeSaySaveIt.org,
where women of all ages and all budgets are learning how to save for retirement.
You work hard.
You make money.
Now make that money work for you.
Invest in yourself at WeSaySaveIt.org.
A message from AARP and the Ad Council.
Free speech is alive and well in America.
Sometimes it's hard to know what's real and what isn't.
Right here.
The country is heading in the wrong direction under this president.
We're suffering shortages. America's running out of everything.
News Talk STL. News, analysis, opinion.
Bill O'Reilly here, and I'm warming up. Stand by for the O'Reilly Update Morning Edition. But first, no question there is a concerted effort to intimidate and silence conservative thinkers and replace our God-given individual liberty with big government controls. AMAC, the Association of Mature American Citizens, is the leading conservative advocacy and benefits organization in America. AMAC gives you access to exclusive benefits and all kinds of great content, please stand with AMAC at amac.us. That's amac.us. On this Thursday, had an illuminating conversation with former Secretary of State Mike Pompeo about Putin, the most dangerous man in the world right now. Mr. Pompeo, who knows Putin pretty well, believes the Russian dictator is still rational in that he can absorb information, but may be delusional about his own personal power. Now, there is no question that Vladimir Putin finds himself in a very dangerous place, as there is growing internal dissent against him in Russia. Secretary Pompeo believes that any nuclear action by Vlad, and that is what Putin is threatening, would be quickly answered by NATO. In fact, plans have already been drawn up, but they are not plans that would include nuclear weaponry on NATO's part. It's all about cyber attacks. Isn't that interesting? So NATO and the USA could pretty much wipe out the infrastructure in Russia if Putin ever launched a nuke in Ukraine or anywhere else. We have a very powerful weapon system in space, as I write about in my book, Killing the Killers. Anyway, I'm going to run some of the Pompeo interview on a television side. You can always reach that on BillO'Reilly.com. Back after this. I am excited about a new streaming platform called VidGo. VidGo gives you the freedom to be entertained at a price you can afford. VidGo has all of my favorite live sports networks. They have a great choice of news. All of that for $59 a month. You deserve the freedom to be entertained at a price you and your family can afford. Please go to vidgo, vidgo.com/Bill to check it out. That is the Morning O'Reilly Update. More analysis later on.
From the NewstalkSTL Weather Center.
I'm News 4 Chief Meteorologist Steve Templeton. The front has moved through. We're looking at clear skies this evening. There may be a sprinkle or spot shower late, like around midnight or so. That's a secondary cold front that's going to make for a cooler day on Thursday. A low 48 and a high of 65 and windy conditions. We're going to have some gusts around 35 miles per hour, but mostly sunny and dry. And then Friday, mostly sunny. Some clouds late in the day, but staying dry. Still going to be windy, gusts to 30 miles per hour and a high near 69 for Friday. That's the latest First Alert forecast. I'm News 4 Chief Meteorologist Steve Templeton.
News, analysis, opinion. For podcast articles and more, find us on NewstalkSTL.com. Let's get the conversation started, St. Louis. This is Mike Ferguson in the morning on News Talk STL.
We're just over 3 weeks from Election Day, and of course, News Talk STL is your home for Decision 2022. So let's get a little bit of a deep dive into some of these constitutional amendments that Missouri voters are going to be deciding on in November. We had a good chat with our friend Byron Keelan from Freedom Principle Mo to get their take on the decisions you are going to make. All right, let's just start at the beginning. We've got a limited amount of time, Byron. I know you all actually have a meeting coming up where you're going to go into these in more depth and get questions and go through it. When is that going to happen?
Well, good morning, gentlemen. Yes, thank you, and thank you for having me on. It's going to happen Monday, October 17th at from 7 p.m. to 8:30 p.m. at the St. Louis County Library Grants Village branch off of Music Road, so across from Grants Farm. We're going to have Josh Lehman from Missouri Rhino Watch and John Anton from the John Birch Society and talk about the various ballot initiatives and the constitutional amendments that are on the November ballot.
All right, so this coming Monday, then. All right, remind me to remind everybody, Byron, because I'll put that out. All right, let's just start at the beginning here. Constitutional Amendment number 1 has to do with overriding the current constitutional restrictions of the state investments by the state treasurer. Very wonky, very technical. What is this actually asking us to change?
Well, basically, for Constitutional Amendment 1, it's expanding the authority of the legislature and the treasurer to invest state tax dollars into broader or additional financial instruments or security areas. And so the state treasurer, right now is restricted by state law to only invest in certain things, and with the amount of new financial investments that are coming out, this would give him the authority to expand this. The other aspect of this is that the state legislature, right now, we have all this excess money and things, and so what this would allow the legislature to do, instead of just spending it on government programs somewhere to get rid of it, or to, is to invest in securities also. So to use some of that like COVID relief money or excess tax dollar revenues that they could, instead of spending it on, like I said, spending on programs, they could invest it into state treasuries or to municipalities or other investments. The one thing about this is that we've seen with this greater flexibility would allow the state treasurer to also take investments out of certain banks and things if they start pushing the ESG scoring. And so by having a greater flexibility, they can prevent our monies from being wasted on social programs like ESG. Okay, so I'm hearing you say that this is something you think people should vote for. So Amendment 1 has the recommendation of Freedom Principle, Missouri. All right, the next one here, Gabe, is the big one. Amendment 3, having to do with marijuana decriminalization. I really can't say legalization because it's really more of a decriminalization, and they're not actually the same thing. So decriminalization is just kind of stepping down the actual level of criminalization. There is some legalization, but within a lot of parameters.
Yeah, it seems to have a lot of built-in requirements, and actually new penalties, I think, is one of the arguments from other groups, too.
Okay, Byron, we're moving on to Amendment 3 right here. The big one, a lot of the focus is on the marijuana itself, but really we're looking at a lot of other aspects of this regarding the way that marijuana is being decriminalized. I think that's inevitable. Is Amendment 3 the right way to do it? Is this a good idea?
No, it's not. And our main opposition to this is two things. One is that this shouldn't really be a constitutional amendment. This issue really should and must be addressed by the legislature only. The other aspect of this, and while the Post-Dispatch wants to deny this, but it really does promote a diversity, inclusion, and equity agenda. And by establishing a chief equity officer in charge of determining whether the ESG requirements of the program are being followed, essentially, credit score for the marijuana industry. And the other aspects of it really is that it creates a monopoly for the medical marijuana businesses. They get first crack at putting or establishing a license for the legalization, and so it gives them sort of the control over the whole industry.
Yeah, and like you said, locking that into the state constitution on it as well. All right, so I've got a limited amount of time. We're visiting with Byron Keelan from Freedom Principle, Missouri. All right, Amendment 4. A lot of people don't realize there is an Amendment 4. And this, let me just read the ballot language. Shall the Missouri Constitution be amended to authorize laws passed before December 31st, 2026 that increase minimum funding for a police force established by a state board of police commissioners to ensure such police force has additional resources to serve its communities? We already have police forces. What's this all about?
Well, this is actually pertains mostly to Kansas City right now, but basically they're funding the Kansas City Board of Aldermen or whatever their elected people are called, are they've cut their funding down to like 20% of their budget, and this amendment is saying that anybody that has a state police or a police organization controlled by the state board of police commissioners has to maintain a minimum level of 25%. And so this would sort of stop the defunding of the police. There's a lawsuit by the mayor in Kansas City to try to cut funding, and so this would stop that. This has a potential impact for St. Louis because if the State Board of Control of St. Louis City Police Force goes back under the state, is that they would then be required to maintain this level too. So actually, that is one of the reasons why we are supporting this amendment.
Byron, Amendment 5 actually has language regarding our National Guard, Missouri National Guard, and I hadn't even heard of this one.
Yeah, this one happened, is that currently 48 states have a cabinet-level National Guard. Our governor is considered the commander-in-chief of the National Guard, and so under our law, actually the Department of Public Safety is in charge of the National Guard, and so the governor has to sort of go through multiple levels in order to dispatch the Guard or to do things. And so what this really would do is make it its own cabinet position, would streamline the proper chain of command and give the governor the ability to directly talk with the adjutant general of the Guard, and then the budget process, in a sense, is that right now the Department of Public Safety controls the National Guard budget. This would take that out of their control.
Okay, so is siloing that a good idea?
Yes, we believe so. I talked to Adam Shorten, who's the state representative who pushed this, and he made a convincing argument that during the time of natural disaster or state of emergency, time is of the essence, and the thing is that the Department of Public Safety sometimes has different views on things that the National Guard might be, and so we don't want to get politics involved in this. We want the National Guard to be able to respond to the person that's the commander-in-chief, and so that's why we support this.
All right, and real quick, because we're a little heavy on time here, Byron, there is also a ballot initiative, not a constitutional amendment, but a ballot initiative calling for a constitutional convention. A lot of people may think, okay, is that the Article 5 Convention of the States thing?
No, it's not. This is for state of Missouri only. This is required by state statute that was put in a while back, that we must have this vote every 20 years. So we're opposing this because it is very confusing with the federal constitutional convention. The other thing here is that the process for, if it did pass, could go very wrong. You basically have a few people that would be in charge of could rewrite the Constitution, or even with a simple majority, pass certain amendments without having to get a supermajority of the vote. So we just totally oppose this on all levels.
All right, and the meeting that's going to go into more depth is going to happen next Monday. We'll remind people before that. This conversation is going to be available in our podcast on NewstalkSTL as well, so people can take this and send it out everywhere if they want to consider what's on the ballot. Byron, we'll talk to you again soon. Appreciate you being on the program.
Great, and they can go to our website to download the actual recommendations.
And that is?
freedomprinciplemode.org.
We've got that news roundup coming your way in just about 4 minutes and 15 seconds right here on 101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
Watch us on our live stream using Rumble, Facebook, and Twitter. Let's get the day started right. This is Mike Ferguson in the morning on News Talk STL.
Tony Colombo here, reminding you to join us for the Bluff City Outdoors radio show and podcast, where we talk fishing, hunting, camping, and everything else involving the great outdoors. Brought to you by Bluff City Outdoors in Alton, the Bluff City Outdoors Show, Saturdays at 11 a.m. right here on News Talk STL.
If you believe Brandon and the supply chain issues are still in crisis, or even if you don't, hurry into Southern Armory, your Second Amendment headquarters, for the best selection of firearms, suppressors, holsters, ammunition, pepper spray, and knives. Browse through our constantly changing inventory, order something special, or have us repair or modify that firearm that you've been putting off. Try our firearms training simulator. See the demo video on our website. Come into Southern Armory, 9901 Watson Road, 1 mile east of 270 and 44, and southernarmory.com. That's southernarmory.com.
The Vic Porcelli Show.
The next Missouri Senator, Nick Schroer.
You know, it is good that Nancy Pelosi's not in America right now. It's less destruction that she can partake in. I can't get over her eyebrows. I mean, if you watch her eyebrows and watch inflation, it shows you the trends in inflation rising.
Huh?
And during Trump, her eyebrows were normal.
It's an economic indicator. Her eyebrows.
Really is. I don't know if it's the Botox or the vodka.
Vic Porcelli, weekday mornings at 9 on News Talk STL.
Hi, I'm Jen Wallner.
And I'm Rodney Wallner with the Wallner Home Selling Team at Berkshire Hathaway.
Hey, Rodney, how do you sell your home for top dollar?
That's easy. Call the Wallner Home Selling Team at 314-810-SOLD.
What if I want a flexible commission rate?
Call the Wallner Home Selling Team at 314-810-SOLD.
When's the best time to sell your home?
Right now. Call the Wallner Home Selling Team at 314-810-SOLD.
For all your real estate needs, call the Wallner Home Selling Team at 314-810-SOLD.
That's 314-810-SOLD.
For $1 a day, if any covered appliance breaks in your home, we guarantee to fix or replace it. All makes and models, washers, dryers, refrigerators, air conditioners, and more. Guaranteed to be fixed or replaced for $1 a day. Call the Home Service Club now for free information.
800-399-3701. 800-399-3701. 800-399-3701. That's 800-399-3701.
St. Louis's new choice for conservative talk.
We need change in our country right now.
Live and local.
They clubbed us over the head for 2 years.
Yep. You want corruption? This is how we get corruption.
This is News Talk STL. Talk lines are open now at 314-912-1019. Having your first cup of coffee? Mike's on his third. This is Mike Ferguson in the morning on News Talk STL.
I think we can just basically summarize all the headlines today with the world's gone crazy. That's easy.
Okay.
I think we'll just do it that way. All right, got some statewide stuff, got some local stuff, a lot of national stuff happening. The three kind of big things I want to get to, there's more than that, but really three of them, including the Biden administration wanting to change the rules about gig work and other freelancing work and contract work. And they say it's to protect employers, or not employers, they say it's to protect workers from employers who just keep exploiting them. Others say it could be killing off an emerging part of the economy that just offers a lot of freedom for workers. So 6:05, we're going to talk to our friends at the Competitive Enterprise Institute about this. You know, anybody who takes on side work as far as like a gig economy, Uber, Lyft, Instacart.
My wife does.
Yeah, this would affect them. And the unintended consequences are incredibly predictable. But we'll talk about that at 6:05. A big pharma executive makes a stunning admission. It's not stunning what the facts are. It's stunning that they made the admission. They did not test to see if the vaccines prevented COVID infection before rolling them out to the public.
Mm-hmm.
Let me say that again. They were asked specifically, did you test to see if these vaccines prevented infection, prevented transmission? And their answer was no, we did not.
They had to go at the speed of science.
Right. And I've got the sound bites from that exchange. The fact that this is not headline news for the next 2 or 3 days throughout all of the media in the United States tells you everything you need to know about the media.
Yep.
All right. Also, Eric Schmidt admits in a tweet that his musical taste is very questionable. But did he give Democrats the gotcha moment that they've been hoping for? Not really.
But I want to be consistent when dealing with kind of stuff, so I'll tell you what's going on, and you can let me know what you think if you want. All right, here are the stories. Quick note, Melville schools, if you take your kid up to the Melville School District classes today, there's no class, so you're just going to have to take your kid back home. Classes have been canceled today because of a technology issue. Some network hardware has gone down, and basically it's rendered the school to the point where they're not having classes today. Yeah. The phones, the internet, everything is complete failure. So apparently just teachers looking at papers and chalkboards and teaching children is not an option anymore.
Yeah, I was thinking about that. Why not just grab some chalk and get some pencils and paper and,
it's worked for a couple hundred years.
Open a book.
Right. I don't know, maybe the teachers.
Forget the whiteboard for today.
Maybe the union doesn't allow that or something like that. Who knows?
Be. Yeah.
Okay, so no virtual learning either. After school and parent-teacher conferences not happening. The sports games are still on, but practices are canceled. So I would say just call the school district if you have any questions, but apparently you can't do that either. So basically, Melville School District, everything's canceled except for the actual games on the schedule. All right, the White House released a sneak peek of the application process for student loan forgiveness, but there are some people saying, hey, you're kind of opening this up for a lot of fraud. Fox Business Network's Madison Allworth reports. She's in Tampa, Florida.
The White House saying that borrowers will have to only submit their name, social security number, and date of birth to register. Very important to note, borrowers will only have to self-certify that they meet the income criteria. And that part right there could create a huge fraud problem. Those that qualify are supposed to make less than $125,000 a year, or households that make $250,000 a year or less. The White House is saying that they are going to be more critical of applicants that make close to those numbers, but they're not asking for proof of income levels.
So the applications are supposed to be open this month. The debt reduction is expected to cost between $400 and $500 billion. And as you know, there are a lot of lawsuits that are trying to stop this student loan forgiveness, partial forgiveness program, actually multiple lawsuits on this.
Yeah, the weird question is, though, I mean, after this happens and they spend the $400 to $500 billion, then what about the next round when people come back in and say, well, I just paid for school. What about mine?
Right. And what about people like me who paid off my student loans? I mean, I got my daughter's student loans
Retro.
now. I'm like, wait a minute. Why did I pay mine off?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's just a huge election year mess. But the question is going to be, it comes down to not whether or not it's good or bad policy. It's bad policy economically, but it comes down to whether or not the Biden administration has the constitutional authority to do it. That's what's going to decide whether or not this thing actually moves forward or not. But yeah, it's going to be interesting, to say the least. The private sector steps up to help animals in the area. The APA, Animal Protective Adoption Center, they are taking over management of the St. Louis County Pet Adoption Center, the one on Olivet. There's been a lot of problems over there, obviously. But so the private nonprofit got the gig to come in and manage that. And I trust the private sector to manage just about any of that, any aspect of that, far better than the county government, especially the St. Louis County government, which seems to be in a complete state of disarray when it comes to anything administrative. And yes, that rolls downhill.
The private sector, anytime.
Yep.
Period.
Yep, exactly. So the APA was selected after the county put out basically an application process. So the APA is still going to operate on Hanley Road in Brentwood, which is where Rachel and I got Rosie the cat.
Yeah, I got. Let's see, Rudy, and I got Finn, my cat.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah.
All at the same place we got Rosie. Yeah. My daughter got her cat Toothless there as well. So we have a big history here of adopting animals from there.
My cat Finn, he actually had a bad wonky eye. He's not as agile of a cat. It was some kind of a feral situation.
Oh yeah.
And he can't meow really. He does a little squeak. And that's about it. So.
It's funny. My daughter's cat sounds like, when he meows, it sounds like he's led a hard life of drinking whiskey and smoking cigars.
Oh yeah.
He just goes.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, it's kind of what my cat does.
He's
Maybe
hilarious.
They hung out.
Yeah, probably. They probably ran the streets together. So, but anyway, they're going to run the county adoption center, which means it's going to get better. Most likely. That's good. All right. With Thanksgiving just 6 weeks away, Gosh, dang, 6 weeks away. Okay. Farmers are warning shoppers turkeys may be hard to come by this year. Jeff Paul from Fox News explains.
According to the USDA, roughly 5.6 million turkeys died after being exposed to bird flu in early 2022. Avian influenza was spread by migrating birds, and it nearly crippled farmers in the Midwest, which is the highest turkey-producing region in the U.S. Other birds, including chickens and the production of their eggs, were also affected by the disease. It's not just bird flu contributing to the shortage, though. Thanks to inflation, the cost of raising turkeys is also on the rise. Experts say those looking to gobble up some turkey this upcoming holiday should shop now because prices are going to get higher when supplies run low. In Los Angeles, Jeff Paul, Fox News.
Okay, basically, if you are going to order a bunch of the meal like you're going to have it just brought it, do it now. Do it now.
I'd like to know when they're going to come out with that report that shows you how much more per item for the Thanksgiving dinner.
Oh, yeah. No, that's right. Who was it that does that? But yeah, that happens every year.
Yeah.
And I think it's good. We're going to find it's much, much higher this year. Yeah, I forgot about that. No, they do that every November.
Corn 10% up.
Yep, exactly. All right, quick couple hiring things happening. Kohl's having a national hiring event in St. Louis starting today for the next 2 or 3 days. They're looking to hire about 800 people. Careers.kohls.com can give you more information. Also, the Postal Service is having a job fair next Wednesday, the 19th, at the O'Fallon Post Office. And the Humane Society of Missouri at Macklin, their headquarters there on Macklin, they're hosting a job fair today, starting at noon, going to 6 o'clock. Here's the thing. If you're qualified, they're going to give you a job offer right on the spot. And that's at, like I said, their headquarters on Macklin Avenue. All right, just ahead, protecting workers from exploitive employers or taking away worker freedom. Let's talk about what the Biden administration wants to do at 6:05.
News Talk STL is proud to have Doug Voss of Safe Money Radio as part of our lineup each week. Doug has been a staple on St. Louis radio for many years as one of the leading financial experts in the area. You can hear Doug and Safe Money Radio 3 times every weekend on News Talk STL. But in case you miss anything, you can check it all out at DougVossSafeMoneyRadio.com. What else do our listeners need to know, Doug?
Simply put, I focus on helping pre-retirees and retirees build, preserve, and protect retirement assets, and I've been helping my clients solve their insurance and financial needs for the past 33 years. I also strive to educate my clients on how to prepare for retirement, minimize the impact of market volatility on their assets, and deal with the challenges of increased longevity. Call me today at 844-676-SAFE. That's 844-676-7233.
Doug Voss is a registered representative. Securities offered through DHL Securities LLLP, member FINRA and SIPC.
For all the women listening right now, I want you to picture a financial advisor. What do you see? It's an old guy in a suit, isn't it? Now, you and your husband, you're meeting with said advisor. Who's he talking to? Him. That's the problem. Deanna Orff of the All Financial Group has seen this failure in the financial industry for years, and she's doing something about it. Join Deanna Tuesday, October 18th for an exclusive women's event called Women in Wealth. It's time to talk about your 401k, your business, and your concerns about retirement. 92% of women say they want to know more about financial planning, and this could be a great first step. The Women in Wealth event is on October 18th. It's free, but you need to make a reservation today. Call 636-230-8824. That's 636-230-8824. Or go to yourmoneymattersstl.com. Investment advisory services are offered through All Financial Group, LLC, a registered investment advisor. Insurance and annuity products are offered through Stephen All, Missouri license number 803-9738.
KLGY HD3 Clayton, K270BW Bellefonte, KNBS Bowling Green.
This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1, and always streaming at NewstalkSTL.com.
News this hour from townhall.com. I'm Rich Thomason. Just how bad was inflation last month? We'll find out later this morning when the government releases a consumer price index for September. Economists figure it will show that prices jumped 8.1% last month from a year ago. And also today, millions of Social Security recipients will learn how much of a raise they can expect next year.
Social Security cost of living adjustments, known as COLA, are based on one of the government's inflation measures, and next year's will be substantial. Based on current high inflation, the increase announced Thursday for some 65 million people could be as much as 9%, the biggest COLA boost in some 40 years. In the past 20-plus years, the annual increases averaged just over 2%. The increase will put more cash into the hands of people who, for the most part, really need it, while having a much smaller impact on the economy than stimulus spending, supply chain issues, and higher energy costs. I'm Tim McGuire.
Reports the Biden administration had begged the Saudis to wait a month before cutting oil production if that's what they were determined to do. Waiting a month would postpone any decision until after the crucial midterm elections here in the U.S. That report from the Wall Street Journal. President Biden has vowed consequences for Saudi Arabia for going along with OPEC's decision to slash oil production by 2 million barrels per day, but there's no indication the Saudis are losing any sleep over Mr. Biden's threat. The Russians continue hammering away at Ukraine, using Iranian-made explosive drones to lay waste to civilian targets, slaughtering men, women, and children. Rescuers in Mykolaiv digging through piles of debris to rescue an 11-year-old boy trapped in the rubble of a 5-story apartment building. On Wall Street this morning, stock futures are higher. The Dow futures up 142 points. NASDAQ futures ahead 35. More on these stories at townhall.com.
It's Prager here to share a product that can help keep everyone more healthy, Cofix RX. Most of us know that viruses of all types are a part of life. What we don't always know are the right products that could be protecting us. So I'd like to tell you about Cofix RX and its doctor-approved secret ingredient. As a safety measure, many doctors and nurses have been using iodine to swab their noses for decades. Iodine has been in use since 1811, and 96% of us are iodine deficient. Using Cofix RX antiviral nasal spray with povidone iodine is a smart way to stay healthy. Cofix RX is made right here in the USA. It's simple to use. You spray it up your nose, and the iodine destroys germs and pathogens where they multiply in the nasal cavity. Check out CofixRx.com. That's COFIXRX.com for a retailer near you, or use the coupon code Prager for 20% off at CofixRx.com.
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Traffic Center.
We start off this morning with one crash. It is minor, but it's blocking a lane. 44 eastbound between Kings Highway and Van Vendor. They've got the right lane closed. No delay. It is just something to slow down and watch out for. That is it as far as incidents or accidents are concerned. We have a while before things will really get going. This report is sponsored by Ride Finders, and I'm Joe Sonderman from the News Talk STL Traffic Center.
Don't like sitting in traffic? Do something about it. Register at ridefinders.org and be matched with other commuters who want to save money and the environment by carpooling or van pulling to work. Do the ride thing. Learn more at ridefinders.org.
From the News Talk STL Weather Center.
I'm News 4 Chief Meteorologist Steve Templeton. The front has moved through. We're looking at clear skies this evening. There may be a sprinkle or spot shower late, like around midnight or so. That's a secondary cold front that's going to make for a cooler day on Thursday. A low of 48 and a high of 65, and windy conditions. We're going to have some gusts around 35 miles per hour, but mostly sunny and dry. And then Friday, mostly sunny. Some clouds late in the day, but staying dry. It's still going to be windy. Gusts to 30 miles per hour and a high near 69 for Friday. That's the latest First Alert forecast. I'm News 4 Chief Meteorologist Steve Templeton.
This hour of News Talk STL brought to you by All Solutions Pest Control, 636-486-7888, or visit them at allsolutionspestcontrol.com.
If a pest-free home is your goal, call All Solutions Pest Control.
Since 2007, the state of Missouri and local governments have handed out almost $5 billion in tax subsidies or abatements to private developers. That money could have gone to basic services like schools and public safety. And studies show these subsidies don't produce the promised jobs and growth. If developers want to build a sports stadium or shopping mall, why should they be given our tax dollars to do it? It's time to reform economic development subsidies. The Show Me message has been brought to you by Show Me Institute and Show Me Opportunity.
Michael's Flooring Outlet is a locally owned and operated family business for more than 28 years, featuring exclusive products, unbeatable prices, and expert installation. You can choose from a wide variety of flooring options, including carpet, hardwood, laminate, ceramic tile, luxury vinyl, natural stone, plus many other options. And you'll gain a peace of mind knowing that your flooring and carpet installation will be done right the first time when you hire the experts at Michael's. You can shop in-store at one of their 3 convenient locations or shop from home online. Check out everything Michael's Flooring has to offer at igotfloored.com.
This is News Talk STL.
News, analysis, and opinion from the voices you know and trust.
News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1, and newstalkstl.com. Mike Ferguson.
We the people.
Gabe Pfeiffer.
It's not rocket science. Rocket science.
Get up, can't you hear the alarm? Get up.
Mike Ferguson in the morning on News Talk STL.
The White House loves to talk about how they're out to protect the working Americans, working people, guys.
Mm-hmm.
So they've got some new proposed rules out there when it comes to labor law. And this specifically deals with contract workers, freelancers, gig economy workers, because in the past, I would say 10 years, but probably just last 5-6 years, the gig economy is one of the most amazing and, to me, exciting aspects of our economy that I've ever seen.
Yeah.
Just amazing how the market has come through with opportunities for people. But there are those on the left, including the White House, who say, no, we've got to make sure the rules are staying up to date because some of these companies are exploiting people. That's what the argument is.
Yes. Exploitation is always comes with opportunity. Yeah, I'm sure. That's how that works. Yeah,
okay,
right?
well,
Yeah.
what's fair and what's not? I'm Mike Ferguson. That's Gabe Pfeiffer. That's Ken Williams right there. Joined now by Sean Higgins from the Competitive Enterprise Institute. And Sean, I know how I feel about this because I love the aspect of the gig economy. But what is it that the Biden administration says needs to be addressed? What are they proposing with these federal rule changes?
What they're trying to do with these changes is make it basically easier for unions to organize workers in the gig economy. Basically, they're going to try and make them all traditional employees in the sort of old-fashioned sense, ignoring the fact that, by definition, the gig economy employee is really a freelancer.
Good morning, Sean. Gabe Pfeiffer here. Wasn't this already tried in California, and didn't it already have dire consequences for the gig-type people, contract workers?
It didn't go particularly well, yeah. They tried this with AB5, and what happened was they were really going after, rideshare companies and other gig economy companies like that, but they basically ended up sweeping in all sorts of other people who do gig economy work. Musicians, journalists, people who do professional translation, even things like yoga instructors suddenly found themselves basically, declared to be employees of whoever was working, they did a brief job for that moment, and it became a major problem for them, and they had to carve out all sorts of exceptions to AB5 until eventually they sort of carved out an exception to even the fact that it was for rideshare drivers with the Proposition 22.
It used to be, Sean, that the rules were if you controlled somebody's schedule, you had to make them an employee. But with the gig work and the freelance work, the workers generally schedule their own working time. There may be a deadline if you're a writer or something like that. But is that among the factors being presented by the Biden administration? I'm trying to find ways to be fair to the other argument. But when it comes to a grocery delivery or Uber or Lyft or something like that, it just seems to me like the worker is in complete control of when they work.
You're right, and that's traditionally been one of the classic definitions of whether somebody is an employee or isn't an employee. The interesting thing is the federal government doesn't actually have any sort of clear definition of what an employee-employee relationship is. It used to be that there was 6 separate factors, and I couldn't even take the time to bore you to list them all, that explains whether or not somebody is a worker or an employee. None of the 6 were definitive, and it's not like you had to have three of the 6 or anything like that. What the Trump administration tried to do was winnow it down to just 2. Does the worker have control over their time, and how much control over them does the employer have? And even then, it was still just sort of up to the regulator ultimately. But it provided a narrower, clearer sort of basis for making the definition. What the Biden administration now is trying to do is go back to the old 6-factor test and add other things to make it even broader. So basically, they're just trying to make it as possible for whenever a regulator wants to say somebody is an employee rather than a freelancer, they can do that.
Good morning, Sean. This is Ken Williams. This will negatively impact the businesses, which will, of course, and it always will, negatively impact not only the gig worker, but the customer as well, right?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of these companies, depend on having this sort of pool of workers who can work when they want to, but don't want to work all the time. That's how they get by. And under this rule, they'll only be able to have people as full-time employees, most likely. And a lot of those people just aren't going to be willing to work, so a lot of people are just going to lose their side hustles.
Yeah, see, that was the follow-up that I wanted to bring to the table here is the argument being made by the administration, I would think by labor unions, is, no, we're protecting these workers because they could work 30, 40, 50 hours a week on their gig and not have health insurance, not have paid time off, not have maternity leave, whatever is required in the state. So they're going to argue that if we can make these changes, that these workers suddenly get all these extra benefits plus minimum wage. What's the reality economically of the, I would say, unintended consequences, but I think this is entirely predictable, as Ken was just pointing out.
The thing is, only a tiny number of those people, work full time for these gig economy companies. Most of them get a lot of part timers, people that do it, for a couple of hours a week to round out the bills. They don't want to have to work 40 hours a week for one company, but they're going to have to under this rule. The companies are only going to be able to employ people. They can only employ people as employees, which means paying, overtime means paying into workers' compensation. It means paying into payroll taxes and all that type of stuff. Then they're only going to want to hire those people who can work full time. So just a lot of people are just going to be left out.
You mentioned, or Gabe mentioned, the AB 5 example in California. Did we have any, measurable unintended consequences, results of some employers cutting the workers off, saying, well, if we have to hire you full time, we just can't do it at all? Did we see anything measurable that indicated that's the case?
Oh, yeah. I mean, a lot of companies literally straightforwardly said, we don't want to have to hire contractors from California because we don't know what the impact to us is going to be. So they just sort of, like long-haul trucking companies, simply stopped hiring truckers who are based in California.
Oh
my gosh!
Right, and there were others. I know, even for instance, freelance writers were affected on this as well. I mean, does this have an effect on entrepreneurs? I mean, there's the gig workers and there's other people trying to build a business. Could that bleed over into any sort of entrepreneurial effort?
It can and likely will, because a gig worker is a freelancer. I mean, there's really isn't any sort of clear difference between the two things. The difference now is it's just much more common.
All right, we're visiting with Sean Higgins from the Competitive Enterprise Institute. So to me, it seems like we're not dealing so much with a difference in narratives. We are really dealing with whether or not workers have the freedom to take on this freelance gig work. And the gig economy is just one of the most amazing things I've seen in the years I've been doing media and policy. What influence are we seeing overall? I mean, when you at CEI look at the gig economy aspect of the economy itself, what is that disrupting? What's it bringing to the table? Because I mean, it's just very, very different than you apply for a job, you get hired, you work the schedule your boss says and the 40 hours a week. What's the gig economy actually changing for people?
Consider this. The last time you got a ride share, and if you used Lyft, what are the odds that the thing also had an Uber sticker in the window, or vice versa? You almost always see both, right? Mm-hmm. Well, how many businesses allow a worker, while they're working for them, to simultaneously work for the direct economic competitor? That's what we're seeing in the gig economy, and that's how things have changed. Workers have that opportunity to just work for whoever they want to, when they want to. And that's what's sort of flummoxing things. I mean, unions are basically trying to force something back into an almost 80-year-old definition of what work and employment is, because it's the only way that they can survive. They won't really have the ability to sort of keep going forward if new system continues to work, because it's basically the worker controls it and just decides things, and they have that sort of self-entrepreneurial aspect of it that basically runs contrary to what collective bargaining is.
Yeah, so basically freelancers and gig workers should be telling the Biden administration, please stop protecting my job to death.
I'm not saying there aren't cases where people are exploited, when they're called contractors, when they are in fact employees. That does happen. But there's got to be a better way to go about fixing the system than this.
All right. Sean, where do we find your work on this and CEI's research?
Just look at us for CEI.org.
Easy enough. Sean Higgins from Competitive Enterprise Institute. Thanks for the update.
Thanks for having me on the show.
All right, 314-912-1019. Got some thoughts on that. Let's hear it. I've got very strong opinions on that.
Yeah, me too.
Okay, so we talked about the Kanye nonsense the other day. And so Eric Schmidt tweets out something about Kanye West, and the left thinks they might have their gotcha moment on it. I just kind of feel like because I made a big deal out of people paying attention to Kanye West at all, that I would be hypocritical if I did not address this. So I'll tell you what happened. You tell me what you think. That's just ahead here on 1019 94.1 News Talk STL.
For podcast articles and more, find us on NewstalkSTL.com. Get up, St. Louis. It's Mike Ferguson in the morning. Made in St. Louis for St. Louis. It's News Talk STL.
You want to give me more information?
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Traffic Center.
Already off to a rough start, 270 northbound between Olive and Page. We've got an overturned vehicle there blocking the right lane where traffic comes on from Olive to northbound 270. Fire and EMS on the scene. 44 eastbound between Kings Highway and Vandeventer. We had a crash, was in the right lane. It's off to the right side now. Volume's pretty light though. This report is sponsored by USA and Sci-Fi. I'm Joe Sonderman from the News Talk STL Traffic Center.
A new season is here, and with it, major delays being reported due to another killer doll with a shady plan. Just how many Chuckies are there? Chucky is here to chuck stuff up, including our freeways. Chucky Season 2, Wednesdays 9/8 Central, only on USA and Sci-Fi.
Hey everybody, this is Paul Kurtman, host of the Paul Kurtman Show on News Talk STL, but I'm also the president of PR Kurtman Investments. The market is down and inflation is up. So if you have questions about the investments in your portfolio, please let me help. Just send me an email by visiting freedomportfolios.com. There's no cost. The market might be uncertain, but that doesn't mean you should be too. Contact me today, Paul Kurtman, by visiting freedomportfolios.com.
Columbo and Katie.
Missouri Secretary of State Jay Ashcroft, would you be able to publicly state for the record that Tony Colombo is your favorite Italian on News Talk STL?
Tony, I love you, but you can't hold a candle to your co-host there.
All right, but am I better than Vic at least? That's all. I want to just be better than Vic Porcelli.
They want to win your mind and your heart over. That's what they want from you, Mr. Secretary.
Tony Colombo, Katie Fitzpatrick, weekdays at 2
on News Talk STL.
Start a podcast for your business today with Epic STL Podcasts. Engage existing and potential customers, build trust in your brand, and drive traffic to your business. Log on to NewstalkSTL.com and click on the Epic STL Podcast button to learn more.
Life insurance is one of those things that just about everybody needs, but few people actually have. Hey, if you die unexpectedly without life insurance, guess what? You'll leave your family with even a bigger mess. Life insurance will help replace your family's income. It'll help cover burial expenses. Life insurance can even help pay off debt like credit cards and medical bills. Life insurance can even pay for college. And if you own a business and you die, life insurance can help your business from collapsing. It can even help cover estate taxes. Life insurance has never been more affordable and needed. Plus, you can always shop around even if you have a plan and save some money. So call the Life Insurance Quote Line right now for free pricing information.
800-979-3060. 800-979-3060. 800-979-3060. That's 800-979-3060.
Now, the Onder Prescription with Dr. Bob Onder.
I'm Dr. Bob Onder. Democrats and the left have a knack for politicizing everything. Now it's the weather. After our region's heavy rains and flash floods on July 26th, the Post-Dispatch quoted a WashU professor saying that the floods proved we're not doing enough to fight climate change. Worse, numerous media outlets published stories blaming Florida's Hurricane Ian on fossil fuels. Probably the most ridiculous example of all was when Senator Amy Klobuchar suggested that voting for Democrats may stop hurricanes. We just did something about climate change, she said. That's why we have to win this election, that hurricanes bear down on Florida. We have to win in the midterms. This is all nonsense. If anything, the trend has been toward fewer hurricanes since 1965 than in the previous 50 years. Temperatures have risen and fallen throughout the Earth's history, and this week's weather is not due to your SUV. The so-called party of science needs to face up to reality. I'm Dr. Bob, and that's my prescription.
Find more Dr. Bob Onder at bobondermo.com. What happens next?
Democrats' reckless policies have stuck the American people with an inflation crisis, a border crisis, a violent crime crisis, and an energy crisis.
Happens right here.
We're going to get control of inflation.
101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL. This hour of Mike Ferguson in the Morning is brought to you by Stifel. Request a portfolio review from your Stifel financial advisor at stifel.com. That's STIFEL.com. We give you news, analysis, opinion, and more. Only on News Talk STL. Mike Ferguson in the Morning. This is News Talk STL at 101.9, 94.1, 99.1 HD3 and newstalkstl.com.
6:35. We got kind of an intense conversation, I think, and I know it's a little bit early, but we know that there are some institutions in this country that have just been completely corrupted by the anti-American activist left, okay?
Yes.
The academy, colleges and universities, I would say that's one. Media, obviously, is another one. And so even though I've spent my career in the media, I'm the first one to say question everything you hear from the media.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, I think you should question everything you hear from this show.
Absolutely.
Because I want you thinking for yourself, and if you think I'm wrong or dishonest, I want you to call me, the 314-912-1019, and challenge me. But that's how I roll. The Academy, we know, is just phenomenally biased. We know a lot of the philanthropic circles are now infected with this as well. But I'm afraid, guys, and we'll talk about this at 6:35, that at some point we won't even be able to trust our doctors anymore because they're being infected with this as well.
I'm already experiencing it, Mike.
Yeah. And the evidence that I'm going to present is there was a kind of an oath-taking ceremony for incoming medical students at a public university. And I'm just going to let you hear the oath that they had these students recite.
I saw this.
Yeah, we'll point out what they're taking an oath to and what they actually missed and didn't include. So 6:35, you do not want to miss that. I'm Mike Ferguson with Gabe Pfeiffer, Ken Williams. It is 6:23. Just a real quick note before I talk about this thing with Eric Greitens. And if you think that this is, how big of a deal do you think this is with his pro Kanye tweet? Let me know. 314-912-1019, which was, by the way, was taken down. The thing with the gig workers. One of the things that my personal experience, whenever I was taking an Uber or in Lyft, and actually I'm going to tell you that I deleted both of those apps off my phone after both of those companies went like full on woke and BLM and Planned Parenthood and all that. I'm going to have to pick one and add it back to my phone at some point because I don't think there are any other options, at least in this area. But I always got into a habit of trying to talk to the driver just to see what their story is because I found them to be really interesting. Almost every time the Uber or Lyft driver was doing this as a second job and they just liked getting out and making more money, or they were in between jobs or waiting for the perfect job, and this gave them something to fall back on. I only ran across a couple of people who did this as a full-time job and would want the benefits and everything. Most people just loved what I heard most often was, I get to control how much money I make and where I go. That's just what I heard. My I guess subjective experiences with the drivers.
Yeah, the key factor of being an independent contractor is the independent part.
Right.
You know, it's like that's really what it's all about. That flexibility, the control of your own schedule, the control of who you even have in your vehicle and things like that. You know, this particularly with the Uber and ride shares, you know, all those things, it used to be the exclusive domain of people, at least in New York. I don't know if you guys know the whole medallion thing. That used to be a very exclusive area for connected people. You had to have a certain amount of money, a certain amount of vehicles, a certain amount of connection with government officials in order to get certified.
Yep.
And so that was the only way into business. Now you need a phone and a car.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I remember
a car that's new enough.
Yeah, exactly. Well, functioning.
And you said, Mike, that you didn't run across many full-time people. Yeah, actually, the few times I've used it, one time there was a full-time person, and the cool thing about it was they made up their larger vehicle. They got premium accounts because they had a larger vehicle. They could get more people in there, and they decorated it. They had music. They had refreshments. I mean, it was like, dude, this is really nice. What's your name? And we would call on them again.
Yep.
You know, and so they controlled the atmosphere that they were within.
People forget they can also control who they do business with.
Yes, you can refuse a ride.
You just simply don't have to take that ride. Ooh, that person's got a terrible rating with other drivers. I'm not going to deal with that. So
good. It's amazing.
Yeah, it really is. All right, real quick here. So I talked about the Kanye West thing the other day. And I was one just saying, listen, even if Kanye West gets something right every once in a while, the dude's crazy. Stop. Just stop. Just stop. And I'm talking to conservatives or Republicans here. Because he went and he tweeted out some anti-Semitic stuff. And so I'm saying, okay, now will you listen to me and stop promoting him? Okay, well, a day or two later, Eric Schmidt tweets out, America needs a Kanye West and Kid Rock tour. Let's go. Okay, first of all, I've known Eric a long time. I did not know his taste in music was that questionable.
That was an intern. You know it was an intern who tweeted that.
Well, the campaign says that he did it.
You think so?
Yeah, that's what they say. I don't know. But here's the thing. Trudy Bush Valentine jumped all over it. She tweets out, it reveals a great deal about Eric Schmidt's character that tonight he is openly embracing those who spew vile anti-Semitism. This is both dangerous and appalling. Missouri deserves so much better. Now, Trudy Bush Valentine's campaign, they acknowledge they're the ones that put that out there. Not a good tweet by Eric Schmidt. And Schmidt's spokespeople, said, he was talking about him like being anti-elitist. And they said Eric didn't see the anti-Semitic stuff from Kanye West. And he deleted the tweet and he took it down. But because I made such a big deal about the Kanye West thing and calling out the left for their rampant anti-Semitism, I think I would be hypocritical if I didn't bring this up. Is it a big deal?
I don't think so. I mean, well, here's the thing. If you, let's say, want to co-sign somebody like Ilhan Omar. Ilhan Omar, that is her name. She is known for her anti-Semitic rants and things like that. It's well known. It's pervasive, and it's been over a period of time. You should know. This Kanye thing is very recent. The tweets came down, right? They were taken down. It's like this thing popped up and popped out of everybody's collective radar so quickly. I am not surprised that Eric Schmidt was not aware that was a controversy. I mean, I didn't. The only thing that I heard about this was the brief. Somebody said something in my Twitter feed, like one or two tweets, and then our discussion about it. Yeah, that was all I saw about it. If you're running a campaign and being an AG, are you actually gonna? Is this even a blip on your radar? The Ye controversy, as opposed to the larger narrative about Kanye has been him being MAGA and him having counter cultural ideas against the left. So that's what obviously he was Eric Schmidt was going for. So I think this is easily forgivable.
And you have to watch out falling into that whole woke situation where you're going to be canceled. Okay, I'm going to be canceled. Well, I better just, I better acquiesce, and I think you need to, if you truly feel the way you do, you should fight it. And I heard them say, well, we took it down not to hide it. We took it down because it was, we decided that was not in line with what Eric Schmidt believes. Yeah. And also, not only that, but some other people said, well, Yeah, he was talking about the music anyway.
Yeah, he said a concert tour. First of all, Kid Rock's got like maybe 2 decent songs. So again, I'm looking at this going, come on, Eric. Come on. Let's talk about music.
But Kid Rock has a following, though.
But the point,
I mean, and this also speaks to my whole thing about our engagement in pop culture. We do need to embrace an engagement in pop culture.
Yes.
Even bad music?
How we do that. Yes, even bad music, Mike.
Yeah.
Sorry.
We do.
Hey, there are bad musicians that you like too.
That's true. There are some.
So look.
My wife makes fun of my music so much.
So we need to be forgiven for all of those things. But ultimately, though, we need to be very careful, though, about how we do that engagement. Because, Kanye's a bad risk. You know what I mean?
Right.
As far as celebrity kind of people to join our side, we need to really vet these people. I mean,
can we just?
There's only so much vetting you can do, but still,
can we filter out the crazy people?
We need to filter out the crazy people, the volatile people. At least.
You know, we talk about I always talk about Robert De Niro. How I separate the actor from the political junkie. Okay, can we separate Kanye West's music from his activity? Because, and I don't like it. I don't necessarily like his music, but there are people who really like his music, but at the same time don't like his politics.
They only like his politics, but now you've got blatant anti-Semitism.
True.
And I'm not boycotting him because I would never buy a Kanye West anything. I couldn't tell you the name of any of his songs. I have no idea what any of his songs are. Just the little clips I've heard tell me enough that I don't want to buy his stuff. But at some point when somebody outs themselves as an anti-Semite, I think that should be enough to say, all right, this isn't the guy that we include in the conversation.
There's a line.
That's interesting, and I do agree with it, but it's interesting because we have Congress people right now in office that are anti-Semites.
Definitely.
And they promote it.
Yep.
It's amazing
no
to
question.
me. That's
no
amazing.
Question. And those are people who should be defeated. And I don't care if they got an R or a D behind their name.
Yeah.
So, all right, 314-912-1019. We don't trust media. For the most part, we don't trust academia. There are a few fighting the good fight in academia. Not enough, but there are a few. Even some philanthropic circles, they've all been corrupted with this extreme leftist authoritarianism. Have we gotten to the point, or will we get to the point where you just can't trust your doctor because of political ideology? I'll give you some evidence at 6:35, and you tell me right here on 1019-94.1 News Talk STL.
You better hide yourself away now. They set out to come capture you. Get rid of that evidence. Going to catch you.
Watch us on our live stream using Rumble, Facebook, and Twitter. Get up. It's Mike Ferguson in the morning. Made in St. Louis for St. Louis. It's News Talk STL.
No big old corporate lib AM station telling us what to say here.
Conservative talk for St. Louis. This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1.
And always streaming at newstalkstl.com.
From the News Talk STL newsroom, I'm Joey Vasovich. A recent study by Wallet Hub ranks St. Louis as the least safe community in America out of 182 cities based on an aggregate score for home and community safety, natural disaster risk, and financial safety. Mayor Tashara Jones responded by saying she doesn't get her news from a place that does credit bureau reporting. Yesterday, the board for the Regional Convention and Sports Complex Authority, which owns the Dome at America Center, again voted unanimously to reinvest the Rams settlement money in higher-yielding securities, this time specifically endorsing 3-month U.S. Treasury bills through Commerce Bank that could earn 3.25%. The settlement money is currently in a trust fund, earning 1.89%. Missouri Lieutenant Governor Mike Kehoe, along with Spectrum, announced yesterday that much of Pike County is now eligible for high-speed internet service. It is all part of the Rural Digital Opportunity Fund program. Yuengling, the oldest operating brewery in America, announced it is bringing its beer to Missouri early next year. Until coming to Missouri, the nearest places to get the popular beer was in Arkansas or Indiana. And in sports, the River City HBCU Classic football game that was scheduled to take place Sunday at the Dome has been canceled and will now take place in Arkansas. Organizers are blaming Explore St. Louis for interfering with ticket sales, while Explore St. Louis says they bent over backwards for the organizer. For in-depth coverage of these stories and more, go to newstalkstl.com.
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Traffic Center.
Already pretty busy this morning. They're working with a vehicle that's overturned 270 northbound past Olive. They've got the right lane closed. Traffic's just slow past there. 44 eastbound at Vandeventer. We've got a crash partly blocking the right lane. No delay. Riverview at Veronica, which is south of the Halls Ferry Circle. We've got a pretty bad crash. You may want to avoid that area. This report is sponsored by Chucky, only on USA and Sci-Fi. I'm Joe Sonderman from the News Talk STL Traffic Center.
A new season is here, and with it, major delays being reported due to another killer doll with a shady plan. Just how many Chuckies are there? Chucky is here to chuck stuff up, including our freeways. Chucky Season 2, Wednesdays 9/8 Central, only on USA and Sci-Fi.
From the News Talk STL Weather Center.
A cool start to a nice autumn day. Plenty of sunshine today and a high of 66 degrees, but boy, does it get windy. In fact, there's a red flag warning across the area for strong winds and low humidity, abundant fuel, elevating fire danger today. But again, 66 and sunny with gusts up to 35 miles per hour. Cool again tonight, mid-40s, high tomorrow in the mid-70s, and still pretty breezy. I'm KMOV First Alert meteorologist Kent Earhart.
Steph's Pizza, legendary St. Louis-style pizza and pasta. Just the name makes your mouth water. Also, for your next get-together, pick up a Steph's Party Platter. And if it's Monday, you get a large pizza for the price of a small. Steph's Pizza in St. Charles County and Chesterfield Valley. Steph's Pizza is always convenient for pickup or delivery. Check them out at stephspizza.com. Tonight's a good night for legendary Steph's Pizza.
Packages start at $29.99 a month with signed agreement. Restrictions apply. Speak to a representative for complete offer details. See Vivint.com for license details. Terms and conditions apply.
Homeowners, if you're looking for the best in home security and smart home technology at a price you can actually afford, we have great news. Now you can get Vivint's award-winning home security systems starting at about $1 a day. U.S. News and World Report has recognized Vivint as the best professionally installed home security system of 2022. And right now, you can get Vivint's home security technology for about $1 a day. Plus, get free professional installation from a licensed technician. Protect your home and loved ones for as low as $1 a day. Call right now for your free home security consultation.
800-561-3405. 800-561-3405. 800-561-3405. That's 800-561-3405.
Tim Jones and Chris Arps in the afternoon.
Thursday, 4:25, we'll speak with Jim Carafano. And at 5:25, we'll speak with Scott Cleland, Executive Director of Restore Us Institute.
Tim Jones and Chris Arps.
Weekdays at 3:30
on News Talk STL. Talk lines are open now at 314-912-1019. Get up, St. Louis. It's Mike Ferguson in the morning. Made in St. Louis for St. Louis. It's News Talk STL.
There are some things that we should just be able to trust the experts and not worry about ideology or politics. Just understand that they've got our best interest at heart. And we're running out of those institutions. And this is the creeping infection of this. Not just people who disagree with me politically. I'm not talking about every liberal wants to do this. I'm talking about this dangerous ideology of the fringe, far Marxist left. They are in a full court press right now, culturally, for us, using not just government, but using institutions to take over. I'm Mike Ferguson, 638. Got Gabe Pfeiffer here. Got Ken Williams here. Let's talk about some of the institutions that have fallen or are falling. Public education.
Absolutely. It's gone.
The academy, higher education.
Been gone. I think it's driving it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Philanthropy. You've got that. Now also corporate America is falling, although there's a battle over all of that. But what about your doctor?
I was not expecting this.
Yeah. Okay, so there is apparently if you go to medical school, there's a oath taking ceremony that you do. You get your white coat as you're enrolling in your first year in your medical school. And then obviously there's another one when you take the Hippocratic Oath when you get your medical degree. But listen to this. I've just split it up into two parts, but you're going to hear the entire oath that these first-year medical school students just recently took in Minnesota. Get this.
With gratitude,
We, the students of the University of Minnesota Twin Cities Medical School class of 2026, stand here today among our friends, families, peers, mentors, and communities who have supported us in reaching this milestone. Our institution is located on Dakota land. Today, many Indigenous people throughout the state, including Dakota and Ojibwe, call the Twin Cities home. We also recognize this acknowledgement is not enough.
Okay, so now we're setting the tone there. And all these students are like looking at this notebook and they're reciting this with this doctor, professor.
Sounds very Satan. I don't know. Go ahead. It just sounds very dark.
Well, there's more. But wait, there's more. But wait, there's more. I don't know how pervasive this is through the medical school community. If somebody's got experience with it, I wouldn't let me know. But listen to everything that they are taking an oath for these students, for their mindset going into study medicine.
We commit to uprooting the legacy and perpetuation of structural violence deeply embedded within the healthcare system. We recognize inequities built by past and present traumas rooted in white supremacy, colonialism, the gender binary, ableism, and all forms of oppression. As we enter this profession with opportunity for growth, we commit to promoting a culture of anti-racism, listening and amplifying voices for positive change. We pledge to honor all Indigenous ways of healing that have been historically marginalized by Western medicine. Knowing that health is intimately connected to our environment, we commit to healing our planet and communities. We vow to embrace our role as community members and strive to embody cultural humility. We promise to continue restoring trust in the medical system and fulfilling our responsibilities as educators and advocates. We commit to collaborating with social, political, and additional systems to advance health equity. We will learn from the scientific innovations made before us and pledge to advance and share this knowledge with peers and neighbors. We recognize the importance of being in community with and advocating for those we serve.
Is that the person you want treating your cancer scare?
No.
Is that the person you want looking at that injury that you just had? Is that the person that you want looking at your child's tonsils?
It sounds like they're stepping back in the development of medicine. When they were talking, I noted here that they were talking about traditional medicine, ways of the past, or something like that.
The indigenous
right. Medicine,
the Native American
versus corporate or pharmaceuticals.
Yeah, Native American medicine men, kind of thing.
That was a little odd.
Did you notice what wasn't in there? Anything about actual medicine and healthcare and doctoring.
All the things.
None of that was in there other than referring to the medicine man.
Well, there was something about healthcare.
Equity.
Yeah.
Which is
a political term.
Oh, my gosh. There are so many high academic buzzwords that were just being thrown around. It sounded like one of those joke papers that these guys sent into these publications to get them through, and they were absolute nonsense, but everybody raved about them because it hit all the buzzwords. They're just hitting all the buzzwords. Now I have to look at my doctor's basically their resume. I have to look at where their degree came from before I commit to letting them take care of me. And if they're at the where is this
University of Minnesota
Twin Cities, if that's where they graduated from after 2020 something or other,
2026,
we're done.
I've had my same medical doctor, my primary care physician since 1995, and when COVID hit, I asked him about ivermectin and hydroxychloroquine. He said, absolutely not. I will not be prescribing that. And that was a red flag for me because he didn't say why, because I asked him. I said, what I heard it's beneficial. He said, oh, no, that's not beneficial. Well, we're finding out it is, actually.
I mean, was he just saying we don't know enough, or he said he was just against it?
I asked him, I said, are you guys looking into it? He goes, no, it's not something that I'm going to prescribe because it's not good. It's counterproductive to healing COVID.
Yeah, by the way, speaking of the COVID stuff, we're going to get to that in the 7 o'clock hour. Stunning admission by Big Pharma. But anyway.
Yeah. Oh, my gosh. There's so many things. Okay, so that's the medical profession. And a while back, I saw Yale law students going after people for free speech.
Right.
Yale law.
Yep.
You know, so doctors and lawyers, remember when doctors and lawyers are basically the experts in their field and you don't prescribe yourself medicine and don't represent yourself in court, right? But we have to have a profession in both of those. We have to have people in those professions that we can rely on, because doing it yourself obviously is going to kill somebody. But would it be worse to let these type of people in there?
And Gabe, those people you're talking about were so violent that I thought it was a setup at first when I was watching it.
It's like, is this fake?
Yep.
Yeah, this wasn't the Babylon Bee. This actually happened.
No, right.
And the thing is that once this creeps in, and you may say, okay, you got one goofball school. Hopefully that's what the case is. But what happens is the American Medical Association has now bought into the pro, what they call a gender affirming care for children. The American Medical Association, the umbrella for all the doctors, has now bought into the child transgender thing. And just a reminder, transgender is not a real thing. But they bought into this. The organization that represents all the doctors, and what happens is this is their standard, and the doctors are being told, you better get on board with this, or you're not being ethical, you're not being a good doctor, you're not whatever. And so this is one of the ways that the extremist Marxist, culturally Marxist left seeks to implement their authoritarianism and get rid of any of the foundational beliefs and freedoms, Judeo-Christian ethos that we have in the country. And so this, to me, when I saw this at first, I rolled my eyes, I laughed, and I thought about it. I went, oh my God.
Yeah.
This is actually kind of massive. We're running out of time when you can trust your doctor, most likely, tragically. Got some thoughts on it? 314-912-1019. I know your doctor would never do that. Well, if your doctor's over the age of 50, probably not. But if your doctor's younger than that, maybe.
Be careful.
We'll see. All right, this is 1019 94.1 News Talk STL.
For podcast articles and more, find us on NewstalkSTL.com. Follow us on Getter at NewstalkSTL. Get up. It's Mike Ferguson in the morning on Newstalk STL. From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Traffic Center.
Northbound 270, we're already pretty slow from 44 up to Manchester. There's a crash on the shoulder there. They're clearing one that involves an overturned vehicle, 270 northbound past Olive. They're partly blocking the right lane. That's not causing much of a delay, though. Riverview south of Halls Ferry Circle, we have a pretty bad crash reportedly involving a van and a bus. 55 north picking up volume at Butler Hill, and then Carondelet through Virginia this morning. This report sponsored by Wendy's. Try Wendy's new home-style French toast sticks today. Some are saying they're better than their mom's French toast. Perfectly crispy on the outside, fluffy on the inside, perfect in every way. Try Wendy's new home-style French toast sticks today. See if they're better than your mom's. I'm Joe Sonderman from the News Talk STL Traffic Center.
St. Louis's new choice for conservative talk.
I think they're trying to attack the American people.
Live and local.
Gabe, Mike, Ken, you guys are my morning cup of mental coffee. I love the show. Definitely a convert from the old one.
This is News Talk STL.
I'm Dr. TJ, owner of the Institute of Natural Health, co-owner of Optimal Nutraceuticals, and the host of Wellness 101. Wellness 101 is designed to cut through the nonsense and provide you common sense, science-based information regarding health and wellness. On the show, we discuss topics like thyroid health, gut health, hormone optimization, and many others. Our show airs Saturdays at 10 a.m. and 2 p.m. and Sundays at 11 a.m. and 3 p.m. right here on News Talk STL. For more information, visit us at inhstl.com. That's inhstl.com.
Paul Cook for our free water store in Chesterfield. Dude, our water is dead. Find out what living water is. It could be one of the best things you ever do for your health and for your family too. It is for me. This water has helped millions of people all over the world supercharge their cells. Experience it for free over and over again Walk in there at the corner of Woods Mill and Olive, our free water store. Discover true health today.
Are you looking for the cheapest prices on car insurance? Then call the Cheap Car Insurance Hotline right now. Hey, you're guaranteed to save money on your car insurance. Most car insurances can be canceled at any time. That means if you find a better deal, you can switch right away. We're not just one company. We offer most of the major brands of car insurance. We're like a discount supermarket for car insurance. And it doesn't matter if you have a good record or a bad driving record. Our agents are experts at finding you the right car insurance for your needs. Our average customer saves hundreds of dollars a year when they call us to switch. So why don't you make this 100% free call right now and see how much you can save on your car insurance. Paid for by AIS Insurance.
800-721-5741. 800-721-5741. 800-721-5741. That's 800-721-5741.
The candidates.
We're going to win this campaign.
The issues.
Gas prices, Biden inflation.
The election news, analysis, and opinion you won't get anywhere else. Decision 2022 happens.
There's a backlash coming
on News Talk STL. This hour of Mike Ferguson in the Morning is brought to you by Stifel. Request a portfolio review from your Stifel financial advisor at stifel.com. That's STIFEL.com. Talk lines are open now at 314-912-1019. News, analysis, opinion. Made in St. Louis, for St. Louis. Mike Ferguson in the Morning. STL.
Right now, one of the biggest fights we've got politically and policy-wise is school choice. I am telling you, medical freedom is going to be, I would say the next one, but it's here as well because we see where the institution of medicine is going, has gone, and it is going to be hostile to people with traditional beliefs. And we're seeing that with what they're teaching in the schools. I mean, that oath that those students were taking, and again, I'm not trying to say every single medical school does something this woke or this leftist, but it was all about being a call and taking an oath to be a left-wing activist in their practice of medicine.
Yeah.
That's the thing. That's what's so scary. So the next generation of doctors is likely to be taught to ignore biology, medical science in the name of squashing the gender binary concept, which is also known as fact, that they are going to be called to be environmental activists.
Somehow.
Right. And none of that had to do with actually how they treat that mass that showed up in that X-ray or that scan or whatever it is. And so everything you just heard was all about being a essentially Marxist activist. That's what the call was. That was the call to action, not heal people from their injuries and illnesses, but be an activist.
It sounded like to me that, when I go into the doctor, if they find, unfortunately, that I have a mass, that they're going to burn sage to get rid of it.
The magic of leftism is that it is absolutely, essentially, a religious worldview.
Yeah,
it pervades everything. It must be applied to the way you conduct all business, the way you look at your profession, the way you deal with individuals in personal relationships. It touches everything, and it must own everything. And here we have it, owning medicine.
Here's what I think is going to happen, and I don't typically make predictions because you stand a really good chance of just looking dumb after a short time, is that there will be in the market a resurgence of whether it is natural health or conservative health or whatever, but there'll be some sort of alternative parallel. I mean, basically the doctors of the old school will become the alternative medicine who say, men are different than women and all this sort of thing. And, some of these medicines are, are fine. Let's look at, pharmacy, as opposed to being this activist type thing. They will be ostracized by their medical community, and there will be efforts to outlaw their practice.
Absolutely.
If they do not kowtow to the activism of the cultural Marxist.
Because what the left will do, and what they've already done now, is started to take over the guidance boards and the certification boards and all the people who make the rules inside these various professions. So they get to decide what is and is not a proper way of administering their vocation. So they're going to own licensure. So you're just like, oh, so you want so then it becomes, oh, so you want to see one of those crazy unlicensed doctors.
Right.
Yeah, the unlicensed doctor is the one who didn't kowtow to the woke madness that the licensing bureau was trying to push on them. So now it's basically trying to force conservatism, conservative ideals, traditional understanding of reality into an underground. And completely eliminate it, really.
And that makes sense because that's why they were trying to do those governance boards, the disinformation governance boards, so they could be first and foremost to decide what's disinformation, misinformation.
Eventually, the pushback has to be more than just what's happening in your school board. Unfortunately, it's going to have to be fighting for your right to have medical care that you decide and you control. And that's going to be one of the next things that they try to take away. And if you don't believe that's the case, well, just look at the whole vaccine passport and mandate thing, which, by the way, 7:35, we've got a shocking admission from Pfizer that was recorded. And I'll play it for you. We'll talk about that. Like I said, 7:35 is when we're going to do that. By the way, it turns out there's a new way to offend a Gen Zer at work.
I saw this. Roger.
You know what it is?
I do.
Somebody says something, and you don't want to sit there and type out a great big long, okay, that sounds great, thanks, I'll see you in the office, and I'm going to sneeze again here.
Right.
All right,
you
sorry.
want a little bit of the shorthand, right?
So what do you do?
The texter, like this is the
texter.
Inter-office texting and things like that.
Because we send this to each other all the time in this room here. It's just like, okay, thumbs up. Sounds good.
Yeah.
That's offensive, and that's rude.
To the Gen Z.
The Gen Zer, apparently.
Really?
Yes. Yep. A thumbs up with no text. Oh, so rude.
Yeah, apparently
Why?
that's rude. Because Gen Z hasn't become smart yet.
It hurts their feels?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Really?
Yes.
Yeah, that's bizarre. Come on now,
There was a big conflict on this, an argument on Reddit, and one of the younger Redditors of a Gen Z says, for younger people, the thumbs up emoji is used to be really passive aggressive. It's super rude if somebody just sends you a thumbs up, the 24-year-old explained. Oh my God. So I also had a weird time adjusting because my workplace is the same. No one I'm just picturing how 24-year-old talks. Yeah. No one my age in the office does it, but the Gen X people always do it.
Change your diaper.
Took me a time to adjust, get it out of my head that it means they're mad at me. Good Lord. Babies. Of course, putting periods at
you know
the
what
end
I would
of the
do?
statement.
I would send that sucker every
I would too.
5 minutes.
Absolutely. I would too. Hey, you doing okay? Yeah, showing up. Thumbs up. Stop doing that. Okay, thumbs up. I would do it all the time.
Employee onboarding?
Automated.
Customer support?
Automated.
What if you could automate all your company's routine operation tasks and do it easily? Lead management?
Automated.
With Zapier, you can. Zapier is the leader in no-code automation. Connect over 5,000 apps, automate almost any workflow, and streamline your team's performance without hiring a developer and with no coding required. That's right. Zapier's templates make it simple for you to automate anything in minutes, no matter your level of expertise. Zapier eliminates routine tasks and frees your employees to focus on the bigger picture. And with Zapier's advanced security features and annual SOC 2 audits, your data is safe and secure. See why thousands of companies, including Slack, Salesforce, and HubSpot, trust Zapier to automate their businesses. Even complex tasks?
Automated with Zapier.
Try Zapier for free today at zapier.com/radio. That's zapier.com/radio. Zapier.com/radio.
KLGY HD3 Clayton, K270BW Bellefonte, KNBS Bowling Green.
This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1, and always streaming at
NewstalkSTL.com.
Cause we'll walk away right through this, yeah, we'll dare to make
this hour from townhall.com. I'm Rich Thomason. To call it a lopsided vote might be the understatement of the week. The UN General Assembly voting to condemn Russia's annexation of Ukrainian territory.
Results of the vote is as follows. In favor, 143. Against 5. Abstentions, 35.
A symbolic vote that's had no impact on what's happening on the ground in Ukraine, where the Russians have been stepping up their deadly drone attacks on civilian targets.
Rescuers rushed to a building partially destroyed by Russian shelling in the southern city of Mykolaiv. A young boy, just 11 years old, is pulled out of the rubble after being stuck there for over 6 hours. As he's carried away in a stretcher, he points in disbelief at the state of the building he was just in. The strike on the Kiev region also sent rescue workers rushing to the scene as residents woke to air raid sirens for the 4th consecutive morning.
Correspondent Karen Chama says Ukrainian President Zelensky continues pleading with the West to provide more advanced air defense systems, something that the NATO Secretary General promises will be on the way to Ukraine. 2 Connecticut police officers have been shot to death in the line of duty, a third officer seriously injured. It happened late last night in Bristol, about 15 miles southwest of Hartford. A statement from the Connecticut State Police reads, "We ask your thoughts and prayers be with the families, the officer, and all those impacted. More details expected later in the day." Police in Chatham County, Georgia, say a toddler missing since last week is now presumed dead. 20-month-old Quentin Simon was reported missing from his home, triggering a massive search for the child. Few details at the moment. Police plan to hold a news conference later in the day. Wall Street, Dow futures up 289 points. NASDAQ futures 69 points higher. More on these stories at townhall.com.
You know how much you're really paying for life insurance through work? I can almost guarantee you're overpaying for limited coverage. I'm Joel Clark, a Select Quote agent for over 20 years. My clients are shocked to learn how expensive life insurance at work really is because of a rate that's driven up by unhealthy people. Why pay more when you don't have to? For over 35 years, Select Quote has helped people save 50% or more by shopping highly rated insurance carriers. I found a 40-year-old man with high blood pressure, a $500,000 policy for only $18 a month. Don't procrastinate. Workplace open enrollment will be here soon. Let SelectQuote save you money and get you the coverage you need to protect your family.
For your free quote in just minutes, call 1-800-865-2266. That's 1-800-865-2266. 1-800-865-2266. Or go to SelectQuote.com. Full details on example policy and carrier ratings at SelectQuote.com/commercials. Price could vary by health, issuing company, and other factors. Not available in all states.
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Traffic Center.
It's been a pretty busy morning. 270 northbound between 55 and Manchester. Add 10 minutes to your commute. We've got a crash on the right shoulder at Manchester. Highway patrols reporting a crash 61 southbound north of 70 in the right lane. 55 northbound, we're starting to pick up heavy traffic Carondelet through Virginia, and the 44 eastbound off-ramp to Vandeventer partly blocked due to a stalled vehicle. This report is sponsored by Wendy's. Wendy's new home-style French toast sticks are so good, some are saying they're better than their mom's French toast. Perfectly crispy on the outside, fluffy on the inside. Perfect in every way. Try Wendy's new home-style French toast sticks today. See if they're better than your mom's. I'm Joe Sonderman from the NewstalkSTL Traffic Center.
From the NewstalkSTL Weather Center.
A cool start to a nice autumn day. Plenty of sunshine today and a high of 66 degrees. But boy, does it get windy. In fact, there's a red flag warning across the area for strong winds and low humidity, abundant fuel, elevating fire danger today. But again, 66 and sunny with gusts up to 35 miles per hour. Cool again tonight, mid-40s, high tomorrow in the mid-70s, and still pretty breezy. I'm KMOV First Alert meteorologist Kent Earhart.
This hour of News Talk STL is brought to you by Stifel, serving investors for over 130 years. Contact your Stifel financial advisor at stifel.com. That's STIFEL.com.
It's the Sail On Tour 2022, starring Orleans, Pablo Cruz, Firefall,
You are the woman that I've always dreamed of.
Peter Beckett, the voice of Player, and Walter Egan with Sail On 2022, Saturday, October 15th at the Family Arena. Tickets available at the Carroll House box office located at the Family Arena or at Ticketmaster.
right, you feel good tonight?
They're back, cocked and loaded. The Family Arena presents 38 Special with special guests Molly Hatchet and Black Oak, Arkansas. Saturday, November 19th, the Family Arena. Tickets on sale now at the Carroll House box office located at the Family Arena or Ticketmaster.com. Presented by the Family Arena.
The news and talk
219 Democrats voted to defund the police.
that matters to St. Louis.
And take away resources from law enforcement.
News, analysis, opinion.
A plan for a new direction.
1019 and 94.1 News Talk STL. Mike Ferguson,
You play ball like a girl!
Gabe Pfeiffer,
I triple dog dare ya!
Get up! Can't you hear the alarm?
Get Up St. Louis.
So it's time to get out of bed. Pour yourself the greatest cup of Kofifi the world has ever seen. Rise up with one voice, drain the swamp, and take back our country. Today's the day we're going to do it, and it's time to do it right now, believe me.
Mike Ferguson in the morning on News Talk STL.
This is your cousin
You want to be listening at 7:35. There was a hearing, and it was in Europe. It was European Parliament.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the executives of Pfizer made an astonishing admission. The fact that this is not all over the media in the United States tells you about as much about the media here as it does about politicians there and, frankly, here. But we'll get to that at 7:35. It's coming up on 7:07. I'm Mike Ferguson with Gabe Pfeiffer and Ken Williams. But let's focus locally. A lot of attention on the Mark Mantovani versus Sam Page race. But there's also a very important race in the county council, and that is an open seat in that 3rd district because Tim Fitch is not running for re-election because the district boundary lines drew him out of the district. Okay? And so now it's going to be a face-off between former state representative Vicki England and Dennis Hancock, who is a former mayor of Fenton. And Dennis joins us right now. Dennis, good to have you back on the program. I want to get into, I think, the biggest story that we've seen in the last week here. If you're elected, you're going to be dealing with a tens of millions of dollars budget shortfall. Because of reckless spending by, obviously there's a Democratic majority in Sam Page's stuff. But when you look at the budget you're going to have to deal with, what are the priorities that need to be in place, and how do you plan to deal with that sort of budget shortfall that's just going to land in your lap if you win?
Well, first of all, thanks for having me on, Mike. I appreciate it. This isn't unlike the situation we faced in Fenton when I was the mayor when Chrysler closed. Chrysler represented about 15% of our city's income. And so we had to look at what were we spending our money on and what could we reduce, what could we do without. And we frankly didn't even consider looking at the income side of it. We looked strictly at the expense side of the ledger. And so we went through methodically, virtually line by line in our budget and said, okay, this line says it's $1,000. Can we make do with $750? And in working with our department heads, working with staff, working with all of our interested stakeholders, we were able to find 15% to cut out of our budget without reducing services on essential services anyway.
Good morning, Dennis. Gabe Pfeiffer here. Crime and safety are another major aspect of what's going on in St. Louis County. Is there anything legislatively that you have your eye on that could help shore up public safety?
Yeah, I think one of the things, and again, I'll point to my experience as a mayor, we had a severe methamphetamine problem in Fenton, probably 15 years ago, where folks were coming into our retail establishments, Walgreens and Walmarts and Target and places like that, and just grabbing an armful of Sudafed and running out of the store. We got together with the county police. We got together with other law enforcement who were involved in the drug war, as well as the retailers and all the other interested parties, and came together with them, put together a plan to address it, and we became the first city in Missouri to pass legislation that required those types of pseudoephedrine-containing products to go behind the counter. Didn't need a prescription, didn't need to sign anything for them, but it got them out of arm's reach. And as a result, the methamphetamine problem went away in fentanyl. So I think we need to take a holistic view of crime. I think we need to look at, do something similar, bring all of the interested parties together, the law enforcement as well as those social services agencies and others and victims of crime too, to make sure that we're taking a comprehensive look at the problem and then address the problem. And then probably the most important thing is when we come up with a solution to make sure that it's fully funded.
On the countywide level, Sam Page was quoted the other day as saying, well, he thinks when it comes to crime, the county's going in the right direction, which is a surprise to a lot of people in the county. How do you assess where the county is right now in relation to violent crime and property crime, whether it's originating in the county, originating in the city, and coming to the county? How do you assess where we are?
Well, I don't have to assess it. I believe Joe Holloman in today's Post-Dispatch did an article that said that St. Louis, once again, is the number one crime city in the country. So I think that that's where we stand. And I don't know what color the sky is in Sam Page's world, but by the people I talk to, crime is the number one issue in this campaign. They don't feel safe. People don't feel safe when they go out. They don't feel safe in their homes. Their cars are getting broken into on their driveways. And the county executive has shown absolutely no leadership on this issue at all. And that's where I think, someone like Mark Mantovani, who has actual executive experience, and knows how to be a leader, can help lead the county through these dark times and come out the other side in a much better place.
Morning, Dennis. This is Ken. The county council, sometimes it seems like they're lacking in transparency, not necessarily the county council itself, but the Sam Page administration. How would you be able to contribute to making it more transparent?
Well, one of the things that I always prided myself on during my 12 years as mayor was the fact that there was no hint of a scandal during my administration. We were very upfront with our residents. I put out information every month in our city's newsletter about what was going on, what my views on particular issues were, what I was doing about them. And I think you have to do that. You have to over-communicate with people and let them know what your thoughts are and so that they can at least have some idea of what's happening. When you look at what's going on now with the records at the health department in the animal control section that have been destroyed because of an insect infestation, well, come on. If you're going to come up with an excuse, at least make it one that's believable. But the fact that it just happened to include the documentation that was needed for some lawsuits that are pending against the county, it was just apparently an unfortunate coincidence.
Right. Yeah, we're visiting with Dennis Hancock, who's running for that 3rd district seat. I want to get into the question about the balance of, I guess, ideology that's so crucial in your race. But let me come back to the money for a second. Some updates on how money is being saved up and invested regarding the Rams, the NFL, and there's still negotiations on who's going to get what from that. But what should the county be doing differently or better when it comes to negotiating for that money, and where should that money be prioritized once this entire mess is settled?
Well, I think that first thing we have to keep in mind is this is taxpayer money we're talking about. This isn't Sam Page's money. This isn't the county council's money. This is the taxpayers' money. So what can we do to get the most benefit to the most taxpayers? Crime is a huge issue. Are the things that we can take that money, spend it on to help alleviate the crime issue? We've got roads in St. Louis County, and especially in the unincorporated areas, that are falling apart. People can't drive their cars over them. So I think that we need to really look at what are our infrastructure needs. This is a one-time shot of capital. So let's figure out the best way to spend that capital on projects that are needed to make our county a better place. And maybe in the process, if we make it safer with better infrastructure, maybe we can start keeping some of the businesses that are migrating away from St. Louis County, keep them home.
Yeah,
and even attract some new ones.
Yeah, that was a whole other thing. At some point, we got to get into is trying to bring businesses back and stop driving them out the way Sam Page has. I've just got time for one more question. Dennis Hancock, running for that 3rd district seat. I know Vicki England. She's been in the state legislature. She's obviously very going to be outspokenly an ally of Sam Page if he is, God forbid, reelected. So tell me about the crucial aspect of that 3rd district seat. Moving away from a Sam Page ally if he's reelected, which I hope he's not. Tim Fitch obviously very strongly pushing against Sam Page. Tim Fitch isn't going to be there. How crucial is this 3rd district seat in particular on the county council?
Well, I think it's absolutely critical. Tim, Mark Harder, and the 2 Democrats from North County have formed this alliance, if you will, to try to keep Sam Page from doing some of the more harmful things that he's wanted to do. And they've been successful up till now in doing that. If I lose this race, it really doesn't matter who the county executive is, because they will have this wall of liberalism stacked against them. Vicki has made it very clear that she's going to vote however Sam Page tells her to vote if he's the county executive and she's in this chair. So in order to maintain that balance, we have to have a conservative voice on the council to replace Tim Fitch's very able conservative voice.
All right,
and I'm that person.
All right, Dennis, what's the website or social media people can find you?
DennisHancock.org.
Easy enough. All right, Dennis, appreciate the update on the campaign.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
All right, 314-912-1019. You got any reaction to what Dennis had to say? Also, did you notice that Dennis is actually talking about the issues that affect people's lives?
What?
Let's compare and contrast.
Weird.
Yeah, let's compare and contrast what the left wants the campaign to be about and what those on the right want the campaign to be about. That's just ahead, right around 7:21 here at 101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
All at once depart, no destination, making cold mind to fight your war. Stop it right now. I have had enough of this. Turn my eyes to your indifference. Stop it right now.
Follow us on Rumble at News Talk STL. Get up, St. Louis. It's Mike Ferguson in the morning. Made in St. Louis for St. Louis. It's News Talk STL.
You want to give me more information
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Traffic Center.
Northbound 270 is pretty heavy and slow most of the way from 55 up to Manchester. That's due to an earlier minor accident. We've got one southbound on 55 past Richardson. It looks minor too, but there's a pumper blocking the right lane. No delay. Just slow down and watch out for that crash. 55 running the other way up through Carondelet in Virginia is pretty heavy. 70 eastbound TR Hughes to 79 is crowded, and we have a minor crash reported 61 southbound north of 70. This report is sponsored by USA and Sci-Fi. I'm Joe Sonderman from the News Talk STL Traffic Center.
A new season is here, and with it, major delays being reported due to another killer doll with a shady plan. Just how many Chuckies are there? Chucky is here to chuck stuff up, including our freeways. Chucky Season 2, Wednesdays 9/8 Central, only on USA and Sci-Fi.
Have you been floored? Not until you've gone to Michael's Flooring Outlet. They've been a locally owned and operated family business for more than 28 years. You want variety? Michael's has carpet, hardwood, laminate, ceramic tile, luxury vinyl, natural stone, and many other options. Save money and get quality at Michael's. Plus, your installation will be done right the first time when you hire the experts at Michael's. You can shop in store at one of their 3 convenient locations or shop from home. Check out everything that Michael's has to offer at igotfloored.com.
Columbo here for Agers Heating and Air Conditioning. We trust Agers with our home because their number one priority is doing right by the customer. Temperatures are changing outside, and as we transition from warmer temps to cooler ones, if you have any issues keeping your family comfortable, don't wait. Call the great team at Agers so they can address the issue before it gets worse. Because whether it's repairs or replacement, Agers is there with the clarity and attention to detail your home deserves. Contact Agers now at 636-242-6515 or through their website, callagers.com.
From home improvement to replacement, do-it-yourself electrical projects can be shocking. That's where Grasser Electric can help. They've been lighting up St. Louis for years. From ceiling fans and dimmer switches to repair or replacing your electric. No job is too big or too small for your home or business. Grasser Electric will even install emergency backup generators. So call Grasser Electric today before the sparks start to fly. 636-441-5200 or go to grasserelectric.com.
Fox News commentary.
Joe Biden finally admits we could be headed for a recession. Well, no duh. I'm Tommy Lahren. More next.
Businesses don't run on automation or algorithms alone. What powers businesses are your people and the people they serve. At Cintas, your dedicated service reps understand what you need to help you keep your employees feeling safe, comfortable, and performing their best. So your business can too. For workwear, essential cleaning products, first aid and safety supplies, and fire protection services, visit Cintas.com.
Oh, I'm ready!
And get ready for the workday.
The White House has spent the last several months trying to convince us the economy, gas prices, inflation, everything is fine. Well, we weren't fooled then, and we aren't surprised now that Joe Biden is finally having to admit everything isn't roses and unicorns. He told CNN's Jake Tapper, "I don't think there will be a recession. If it is, it'll be a very slight recession. That is, we'll move down slightly." Well, Joe, the economic outlook already meets the standard definition of recession, 2 consecutive quarters of contraction, but who's counting? Gas prices, inflation, shortages, we are experiencing all of it, but yet Joe Biden thinks he's Mr. Popular. He even told Jake Tapper he's still considering running again in 2024 and thinks he can beat Donald Trump. Joe, you can't even read a teleprompter or ride a bicycle. Who do you think you are kidding? 830 days left, people. God help us. Let's get to 2024. I'm Tommy Lahren.
Talk radio made in St. Louis for St. Louis. This is News Talk STL.
Our responsibility.
News, analysis, and opinion.
To provide updated guidance.
At 1019, 941, and NewstalkSTL.com. Talk lines are open now at 314-912-1019. Get up, St. Louis. It's Mike Ferguson in the morning. This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1, 99.1 HD3 and NewstalkSTL.com.
All right, good conversation with Dennis Hancock. That's going to be available on the News Talk STL podcast a little bit later on this morning. It's probably going to be up by around 10 o'clock, 10:30 at the very latest. And if you're not subscribed to the News Talk STL podcast, gosh darn it, what's holding you back right now?
Yeah. What are you even doing?
Sorry for my language.
What are you
doing? Anyway,
Potty
check
mouth.
that out. Just ahead here in about 60 seconds. I don't know why I do stuff like that, guys. I really don't. Let's talk about the different narratives and the campaign priorities that we're seeing between the left and the right. But in the meantime, here we got Rebecca on News Talk STL. Hey, Rebecca, good morning. What's your take?
Hi, good morning. That Hancock guy is cool.
Yep.
And he has a proven track record in Fenton.
Yeah, I knew he was mayor of Fenton. I didn't realize he was mayor for 12 years.
He was mayor during that really crucial time with Chrysler. That's amazing. And he's just talking about common sense stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's what we need so desperately now.
What, common sense?
Yeah. And somebody that doesn't refuse to apply it.
Right. Well, exactly. And I actually thought, thanks, Rebecca. And Dennis's take, I mean, granted, that was a softball question to him there at the very end. I'll admit it. But that 3rd district seat, and I know Vicki England, we're acquaintances, we're friends. Vicki is very, 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 very liberal. And she's also, Dennis is right, she's made it very clear that she is going to be as much of a Sam Page ally as Lisa Clancy is. So think of a second Lisa Clancy on that county council. The economy of the county can't risk that. We just can't. This 3rd district seat is absolutely a crucial race.
Yeah, that's when I was listening to him. Dennis was saying that they would need to have him as a wall against Sam Page if he gets in, God forbid.
Yeah, and so I do think I am now convinced that Mark Manavati can win this race. Now, I think he's coming from behind.
Yeah.
But I really think it is possible that he can win this race. Either way, we need to make sure that 3rd district stays in the opposition hands. I mean, I know Mark Manavati is a Republican, but you've got to work in that 3rd district as though you are preparing to push back against Sam Page. And if we get Mark Manavati, then pleasant surprise, all the better. But this can go this way. We really do have a chance to make the county a lot better, which will affect St. Charles County, which will affect Franklin County, which will affect Jefferson County. Probably not going to affect St. Louis City too much, because we're just dealing with the city exporting their problems as much. That's part of what we have to deal with. But when you look at the local and the national level, crime, inflation, cost of living, those are all the top concerns for voters when surveyed time after time after time as we head into the next, just a little bit over 3 weeks until the election. Fox News' Kevin Cork has a perspective on it.
Take Los Angeles, for example. Homicide rates way up. Robbery, same story. Violent crime up 11.6%. Add to that, how about wholesale inflation? The president says he's still not convinced that a recession will grip the nation. The White House insists that they understand that, quote, they have more work to do.
And the president's actually going to be in Los Angeles a little bit later today. And they're saying, just give the Inflation Reduction Act, the thing that spends, $1 trillion+ time to bring down inflation, even though they've undermined the value of the dollar. But that's going to work this time. We just need more bigger government.
Did you guys see what happened at the Walmart in North County?
Oh, my goodness, that was crazy.
No, what?
Okay, in North County, there were about 20 people involved, and they just started beating each other up and throwing things at each other, hitting each other with these metal poles.
Yeah.
And it was in North County. I thought, when I first saw it, Mike, I thought it was in California or something.
Same thing. Exact same thing. The first time I saw that video, it was like one of these, oh, look at this, the world's going to hell type things. And I thought it was New York or Chicago. But
I saw the Missouri sign flag hanging.
And there it was. It turns out that was here in the St. Louis area. I mean, it looked like a cartoonish WWF battle royale is what that looked like. It was insane.
It was knockdown, drag out, guys hitting women, women hitting guys. I mean, it was crazy. But the reason why I brought it up is because we were talking about violence and crime and how it's up now. And I think people in stores like that, where they would never, ever do something like that, suddenly feel like, well, you know what? Police aren't around. Let's go.
What's in Walmart worth fighting over?
Nothing.
I seriously. Yeah, I don't know what caused that, but it was insane.
They said it was some kind of an argument that they had earlier, and then it just got out of hand. But that's the thing, is people... Normally when people get out of hand, there's a dispute, and they realize, okay, but there's law and order here, so we need to resolve it a little bit, Now it's like free-for-all. I mean, it seems like lately, at least, when this kind of thing happens... Everybody's like, well, we're going to go now. We're all going to go. There's no holds barred. I don't know.
This is one of my Walmarts.
Yeah. Oh, yes. I was going to say, that's not far from your house, dude.
I've shopped at this Walmart many times.
It's crazy, isn't it?
Well, I mean, my area has 2 Walmarts, essentially. There's this one, which is just across the highway. Mm-hmm. It's relatively close. But then there's one on Lindbergh, which it's a newer one. And that one's basically about the same distance, essentially. It's the same amount of time. And, I mean... The one south of the highway is the ghetto one. Like, that's how I refer to it in my head. So when I tell my wife I'm going to Walmart, it's like, well, the one off the highway is convenient on my way home. So I was like, I'm going to the ghetto one.
Yeah.
so okay, it doesn't surprise me. I mean, like, I would be surprised if it happened at the other one, but
well, don't be too surprised. The Walmart near my house is just off Hanley Road there. It is not uncommon to drive up there and see, cop cars all over the place, and I don't remember, is it Menards that's right next to it? It's one of the home improvement stores is in there as well. And you don't have problems there, but that Walmart, there's like 2 or 3 cops multiple times. I've seen that.
When we first saw the Walmart moving into Shrewsbury, the first 2 months was amazing.
Yeah.
Now I won't go there after dark. I'm not even kidding you.
Oh my gosh!
And the employees in the yellow shirts that they have there, they're almost like Gestapo. You're not even trusted. You walk in, it's like they're staring at you. So it's not a place that's fun.
That's why I try not to go to Walmart, and that's also why I use Instacart to do my shopping. And
well, there you
so
go.
I could just have somebody else take the risk on my behalf. I'm happy to tip them in order to do it.
A little more verification for Instacart.
There you go.
Gig economy.
Okay, just ahead here, there was a hearing, and it was over in Europe, and it had to do with questioning Pfizer executives. And one of the admissions that this executive made, absolutely stunning. It should be the headline news and what everybody is talking about today, but it just hasn't seemed to catch on here across the pond.
I don't understand it.
Well, I think I do. But even conservative media isn't looking at this as heavily as it should. I'm going to play the exchange for you, give you my take. I'd love to hear yours. 314-912-1019 right here on 1019 94.1 News Talk STL.
For podcast articles and more, find us on NewstalkSTL.com. You're listening to Mike Ferguson in the morning. This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1, 99.1 HD3 and NewstalkSTL.com.
Reminding you to subscribe to our show podcast so you never miss anything that happens here at News Talk STL. Get our podcasts every day on the show pages at NewstalkSTL.com or just subscribe to your favorite shows on Spotify, Apple, Google, Amazon, or anywhere else you get your podcasts.
From the News Talk STL newsroom, I'm Joey Vasovich. St. Louis City's Department of Health is launching a behavioral health bureau. The goal of the bureau is to focus on the mental health needs and substance abuse problems within St. Louis. The Department of Health is looking to hire 14 salary positions. A woman died Tuesday after a loose piece of metal struck the windshield of her car on Interstate 64 near Vendevetter, causing her to strike a concrete wall several times. It's unclear at this time whether the loose piece of metal came off a vehicle or is previously debris on the roadway. Slick City Action Park, an all-ages indoor action park and birthday party venue featuring adventurous slides and air courts, is scheduled to open soon in Chesterfield. The action park will likely debut in November with a soft launch pending final permit approval. Alamo Drafthouse will open its 10-screen movie theater at the City Foundry in November, officials announced yesterday. The Austin-based chain will take up 45,000 square feet on the west side of the City Foundry and will also feature The Big Show, a 66-foot premium large format curved screen. And in sports, the River City HBCU Classic football game that was scheduled to take place Sunday at the Dome has been canceled and will now take place in Arkansas. Organizers are blaming Explore St. Louis for interfering with ticket sales, while Explore St. Louis says they bent over backwards for the organizer. For in-depth coverage of these stories and more, go to NewstalkSTL.com.
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Traffic Center.
We're still relatively busy. 55 southbound past Richardson, we've got a crash in the right lane. There's a bumper on the scene, but there's no delay. Northbound 270, now this crash looks minor, but they are sitting out there in the left lane. It is north of Gravois. Left lane closed, 2 vehicles involved. Traffic pretty much was backed up to Tesson Ferry anyway this morning. 55 north adds 6 minutes to your commute. Weber of Fugasconade is slow. We also had an earlier incident northbound on 270 at Manchester that's off on the right side. I'm Joe Sonderman. This report sponsored by Ride Finders.
Ride Finders is a St. Louis area's free carpool and vanpool ride matching program. By sharing the ride to work, you can save thousands of dollars per year and take thousands of cars off the roads. Do the ride thing. Visit ridefinders.org for details.
From the News Talk STL Weather Center.
A cool start to a nice autumn day. Plenty of sunshine today and a high of 66 degrees, but boy, does it get windy. In fact, there's a red flag warning across the area for strong winds and low humidity, abundant fuel, elevating fire danger today. But again, 66 and sunny with gusts up to 35 miles per hour. Cool again tonight, mid-40s, high tomorrow in the mid-70s, and still pretty breezy. I'm KMOV First Alert meteorologist Kent Earhart.
Are you tired of hard
chlorinated water drying your skin out, tasting bad, and ruining your fixtures? Jones Air and Water Treatment has a solution to this pollution. Our Hydrotech H2O leaves you with great tasting, soft water at all fixtures in your home with one unit. Call Jones Air and Water at 636-899-1040 or visit us on the web at joneswater.com. You can be a filter or buy a filter. Jones Air and Water, 636-899-1040 or joneswater.com on the web. Call us now.
Tim Jones and Chris Arps in the afternoon.
Senator Jim Talent.
We live in an age where saying common sense things is considered to be controversial or even revolutionary. Like, we need oil and gas. Yeah, I think we do. Or maybe we shouldn't shut down the schools. Maybe it's not a really great idea when troubled teenagers come in and just to rush to pump them full of drugs.
Tim Jones and Chris Arps. Weekdays at 3:30 on News Talk STL.
In times of economic uncertainty and chaos, your money means nothing. You may not even be able to get it from your bank or ATM. And the money you do have in the stock market will go down and down. What you can bank on is gold and silver. Gold and silver have been a reliable and trusted form of currency for thousands of years. Gold and silver have never been worth zero, and typically gold holds its value during economic turmoil. Call the Gold Hotline now and learn how to protect your money and your assets with gold and silver. And learn how to set up a new IRA or roll over your current one into a gold-backed IRA. Protect your money from the next market crash with gold and silver. Call now for your free gold guide.
800-281-4224. 800-281-4224. 800-281-4224. That's 800-281-4224.
St. Louis's place to talk.
Because that's where the votes are getting stolen. When you get into the facts and logic and reason thing, it drives me crazy because you're right.
I call it the oh my God virus.
News Talk STL. News, analysis, opinion. News, analysis, opinion. Talk lines are open now at 314-912-1019. Get up. It's Mike Ferguson in the morning on News Talk STL.
I don't want to go back and rehash the arguments over mask mandates and vaccine passports and all of that, but we're going to have to do that to a little bit of a degree because a lot of the foundation that we got yelled at by the elites, got yelled at by the political class, got yelled at by so many in media, got yelled at just by scared to death leftists over the past couple of years. That foundation part of it looks like it's crumbling. Okay. And I know that's a big statement. Maybe you disagree, but I'm going to play the exchange from a Pfizer executive who made a very surprising admission. Okay. It is 7:37 right now. I'm Mike Ferguson, got Gabe here, got Ken here. So here's what's happening is there are some hearings in the European Union. And this happened late Monday. Or late Monday, early Tuesday our time. And it took a good 24 hours or 36 hours for this to kind of make the circulation on digital media, which surprises me because this is something I thought should have been headline news worldwide. So what happened is there is a member of parliament named Robert Roos, and he is questioning a Pfizer executive, and her name is Janine Small. And she was there in place of the Pfizer CEO who was supposed to testify, but for whatever reason, that got pulled at the last minute. So she's speaking on behalf of Pfizer. Here's the very basic question that she was asked.
Was the Pfizer COVID vaccine tested on stopping the transmission of the virus before it entered the market? If not, please say it clearly. If yes, are you willing to share the data with this committee? And I really want a straight answer, yes or no, and I'm looking forward to it. Thank you very much.
Okay, this seems like a pretty simple, straightforward question. Before you rolled out the COVID vaccine and all of the claims and everything, did you actually test it to see if it stops infection and or transmission? I think that's a fair synopsis of what he just said.
Absolutely.
Okay. Her answer was about over a minute and a half long, so I've broken it up into a couple pieces here. Here's her initial response.
Regarding the question around, did we know about stopping immunisation before it's entered the market? No. We had to really move at the speed of science to really understand what is taking place in the market.
So again, let me just put this in perspective. The vaccine was rolled out and needles were going into arms with the claim that this was going to protect you from COVID and stop COVID. And they had not even done tests to determine if that's the case.
I can't. This was huge because we've been saying, I mean, post hoc, 2020 hindsight, we see that the vaccines did not stop infection or transmission. They would be called breakthrough infections and all of these other things. We've got all that data now. Basically, the public acted as the trial dummies here, and we know this for a fact that it does not stop infection. Absolutely.
Well, we were told that it was.
We were told it was 90-some-odd% effective.
We were told by Anthony Fauci. We were told by
Whoever the
President
CEO.
Biden. We were told by Pfizer. We were told by a number of people. You've got to do this in part because that's the way you're helping care for your community and other people. Because I think Fauci's words were this is a dead end for the virus.
Yeah, you're going to stop the spread.
Yeah, everybody said it. Everybody said it, and in doing so, they based policy on the idea that the vaccine necessarily is the stopgap, that it is essentially the cure of the pandemic. And they determined law based on all of that. They determined rules. They fired people. They squashed any question about whether or not those claims were true to begin with. People's lives were destroyed because of the claim that the vaccine stopped the virus. And we're barely talking about it. I don't understand.
One of the red flags for me originally was when Pfizer and Moderna, and I think even J&J, they said that they required that they would not be. If someone had a claim against them,
they're not liable.
They're not liable.
That was built into the
emergency
spending, the emergency authorization for spending. That the U.S. government basically is the largest purchaser of these vaccines.
Right.
So, you're going to hear Ginny and Small talk about how much money they spent to rush to develop this. And the process to develop this was remarkably fast. And there is evidence that the vaccines, for the most part, at the very least, lowered symptoms and severity.
Yes.
So it's not that the vaccines are worthless or anything like that, but we've got a foundation now of knowing we were lied to. We didn't make an informed decision because we were lied to. Basically, put this in your body and let's hope for the best.
I know. I took the first one because of that. I was like, okay, my wife and I talked and said, oh, hey, it's going to stop it. Let's go ahead and take it. The second one, not so much, because I actually delayed that longer than they recommended.
Yeah, it was like a 30-day, I think, recommendation or whatever.
And I waited 4
4
months or something.
Well,
I was just worried about it.
Here's Janine Small following up. Her answer to the question is, did we test it to see if it stops infection or transmission? The answer is no. And then here's her saying, but.
And from that point of view, we had to do everything at risk. I think our Dr. Bourla, even though he's not here, would turn around and say to you himself, if not us, then who? Dr. Bourla actually felt the importance of what was going on in the world. And therefore, as a result of that, we actually spent $2 billion at risk of self-funded money from Pfizer to be able to manufacture, first of all, research, develop and manufacture at risk to be able to make sure that we were in a position to be able to help with the pandemic. And I think that's why I feel very good when a recent paper from the Imperial College stated that in the first year of the rollout of vaccines, we saved 4 million people. So from that point of view, I feel that actually we were there when the world needed us to be able to make sure that we were able to help people around the world with vaccination as well as now oral treatment. I would hate to imagine what situation we would be in the world right now if companies like us did not take those risks, did not do clinical research and developments at scale in order to make sure that we could have a vaccine that we could roll out to the world. So I understand your frustrations, I really do. But I also hope at some point somewhere you also do appreciate what pharmaceutical companies have done in order to be able to roll out and deliver vaccines at such speed and scale.
Okay, let me first say that I appreciated the attempt to do something about the virus so quickly, so early on, under tremendous pressure.
Yeah, I have no issue with Operation Warp Speed and trying to get a vaccine developed. I have no issue with that whatsoever.
Yeah, I mean, and it fits in with what the Trump administration had done at the time was the free use. I can't remember exactly what the name of the bill was, but it was about terminal patients being able to try, free to try experimental things like that. So the idea being that if you want to take on the risk yourself, here is a possible treatment. You're allowed to do it. That idea that, okay, we're going to push this vaccine out into the market. If you feel that you are at super risk, and if your doctor says that, yeah, you probably want to err on the side of caution here, that's fine. But then it became mandatory. Then it became a requirement to maintain your job. It became a requirement to travel, to eat, to do anything, to live life. And in the meantime, the rest of us who were unaffected by the virus were told to stay at home and businesses were shuttered and lives were destroyed. All of these things came based on the claim that the virus was going, or that the vaccine was going to stop the virus, and that research showed it. We were following the science, and everything that woman said in that second clip is an overstatement of what the capabilities of that vaccine did, what it actually accomplished. Garbage that it saved 4 million lives. No. Not at all. The numbers don't prove that out. And when I was looking at this stuff early on, I said, I don't see the types of research that I would expect from the claims that they're making, and I was extremely skeptical of this, and I'm really still skeptical of what the consequences are going to be of this, because it doesn't seem like anybody cares right now. I don't get it.
And during that time, it became politicized, if you remember, and they said no ivermectin, no hydroxychloroquine. We're not doing that. You stick to the shot, you stay with the vax, and you'll be fine.
314-912-1019, but I'm going back to people were fired from their jobs because of the belief that if you get this, you will stop the virus. Basically, the virus ran its course the way viruses do. But we upended lives, we upended economies, we destroyed businesses, we destroyed livelihoods, we shut down free speech rights of First Amendment, and we shut down freedom of religion in this country because authoritarians took advantage of it. What happens the next time there's another virus? Hopefully we're more skeptical and we don't allow them to do this to us. Got some thoughts on it? Let's hear it. 314-912-1019.
This is Mike Ferguson in the morning on Newstalk STL. From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Traffic Center.
Northbound on 270 is extra heavy this morning, 55 past Gravway. They've moved to crash off to the right side, though. And then once you clear that, there are some pockets running up through Doherty Ferry in Manchester. On 55 northbound, add about 10 extra minutes to your commute, running up through Webster and Gasconade. A crash on 67 northbound past Buck Creek, between Buck Creek and Route CC. They're blocking the right lane. It's volume on 64 eastbound, Chesterfield Parkway west to Timberlake. Ballast to Spady's pretty heavy, and then 170 in towards Big Bend is pretty slow. 70 eastbound K to 79 has some heavy pockets. This report is sponsored by Wendy's. Wendy's new home-style French toast sticks are so good, some are saying they're better than their mom's French toast. Crispy on the outside, fluffy on the inside, perfect in every way. Try Wendy's new home-style French toast sticks today. See if they're better than your mom's. I'm Joe Sonderman from the Newstalk STL Traffic Center.
The Vic Porcelli Show.
Thursday, it'll be 26 days till the midterm. We'll talk to writer, author, and speaker Cheryl Chumley at 9:41 about how expensive these midterms are going to be.
Weekday mornings at 9 on Newstalk STL.
Are you downright disgusted with the corruption of our Democratic leadership at St. Louis City Hall that's been reported in the news?
Hi, this is Mary Teresa McLean, Chair of the Republican Party City of St. Louis. If you want to put our city that we all love back on track, you must get involved. If you're ready to be part of the solution, we invite you. Come and meet us. Learn more at stlouisrepublicans.com.
Paid for by St. Louis City Republican PAC. Curtis Farber, Treasurer.
Stay top of mind with your customers, stand out from the competition, and drive productivity with a podcast for your business from Epic STL Podcasts. Log on to NewstalkSTL.com and click on the Epic STL Podcast button to learn more.
Does your current bathroom need to be updated immediately? Introducing One Day Bath and Shower Remodeling, the complete and hassle-free way to get the new bathroom of your dreams in as little as 1 day, and for as little as $199 a month. Yes, the experts at One Day Bath and Shower Remodeling will come to you anywhere in the country and show you all the customized options. Now you can have a brand new bathroom in as little as 1 day. Large or small bathrooms, if you want a new bathtub or shower installed, we can do it in as little as 1 day. And if you call right now, you can save $750 off your remodel. We make it easy by offering you financing as low as $199 per month. Call now to schedule your free in-home consultation.
855-672-1566. 855-672-1566. That's 855-672-1566.
Whether at home or at work, you're mobile. So when you're mobile, stay mobile. Keep St. Louis's home for conservative talk with you wherever you go. Download the Newstalk STL app in the App Store or at NewstalkSTL.com. Talk lines are open now at 314-912-1019. Get up. It's Mike Ferguson in the morning. This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1, 99.1 HD3 and NewstalkSTL.com.
Still got time to get your thoughts in on the admission that not only did the vaccine not stop the virus, and we weren't told that, but they knew it because they didn't even test to find out on that. Oh, geez, 7:51. This is 1019, 94.1 News Talk STL. Found an interesting story that happened in North Carolina. Man, so get this. A family is dealing with that nightmare scenario of a violent burglar trying to get in their house. So he's trying to get in. The guy's armed. He's trying to get in. You know, they're fighting with him to keep the door shut. He actually fires a shot in and grazes the dad. And finally, the guy slams the sliding door shut, or slams the door shut. I don't know if it's a sliding door or not, but slams the door shut enough to run off Vernon Wilson, 67-year-old guy who was trying to burglarize and get into somebody's house in Burlington, North Carolina. Not really burglar. This would be armed robbery. Burglary is when you sneak in and nobody notices you're there until after you steal your stuff. And normally you notice I have to say allegedly or police say or he's accused of. But here's the thing is that we know this is the guy because he left behind a key piece of evidence. So when I mentioned that door slammed to run him off, it chopped off one of his fingers.
No. Oh, wow.
Yes.
Sweet.
Okay.
Yes. And so this guy had a gun. There was a shot fired. And so police were able to find him because you look for the guy who is missing a finger and match it to the finger that was inside the house after the struggle.
Was it his trigger finger?
I don't know. So
That's amazing.
Right. Yeah. And the story was found this on WRAL television and also the Charlotte News and Observer newspaper both had the story. So one shot was fired, but we're talking off. The guy was wearing like white gloves and or like the medical gloves and whatnot, trying to not leave fingerprints. But he left the entire finger that would have had the fingerprints otherwise.
That's hilarious.
Apparently preserved in the glove finger. I mean, whatever this door was, it was slammed hard enough to take it clean off.
From Shrek and the cat saying, "It's not mine."
Yeah.
I wonder what that lineup was. A whole bunch of guys like freshly chopped fingers, and they've got the little nub, and they're just like, "Was this fit?" No, that's
Sir,
it's slightly different color on this one.
Oh,
okay.
my
What about
goodness.
this?
Sir, can you put your hand from behind your back, please?
Oh.
No, I'm not doing it.
Yeah.
Against my rights.
So it's instant justice.
Yeah.
You like that?
Karma.
And there it is, because he's not going to really get out of it. Now, it turns out, big surprise, the guy's got quite a rap sheet.
Mm-hmm.
And Vernon Wilson, again, 67-year-old Vernon Wilson, now is charged with first-degree burglary, assault with a deadly weapon, and being a convicted felon in possession of a firearm. So, gun control laws didn't stop him from, imagine that.
What?
But anyway, just saying.
See, if they had a sign that said gun-free zone.
Gun-free zone, that would have stopped everything.
He wouldn't have done it.
No. 67 years old, he should have been retired from all that.
You would think.
Hey, I mean, you got to fear the old man in the young man's game.
Yeah.
But that's a nightmare scenario. I don't know. I mean, one, if you're the guy who slams the door, and it's like, okay, good, he's gone. Well, most of him's gone.
They look down and they look at each other like, did that happen?
I'm not touching that.
You got to pick that up. No. Get the little robot grabby hand thing.
So you call the police. Like, can you give us a description of him? Okay, well, he's going to match that finger.
We've got his finger. What?
It's in a cup.
Oh, my goodness. And so they'll do the DNA testing and look at the fingerprints and all that kind of stuff to confirm. But literally look for the guy who's walking around going, ow, 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 ow. I'd flip you off, but I can't. Or I'd point which way I went, but depending on which finger that it was.
Oh, man. That's awesome.
Jeez.
It's called karma. That's good stuff.
Oh, my goodness. Yeah.
That's great. I'm just imagining the door just
the visuals are great.
And it's just laying there. Oh,
there
no.
it is.
Oh, boy.
Yeah,
what
I wonder
do we do
what
now?
kind of door it was.
Yeah, the story doesn't say, at least in the one I've got. Maybe one of those other news sources has a more in-depth one. Burlington is basically halfway between Raleigh and Winston-Salem.
I want to do like that.
But yeah,
Must be a pretty solid door, though.
Right?
To do
it's a
something
very
like that, yeah.
solid door. I just don't know if it was sliding or if it was like the front door. But we know this guy. There was a violent push back and forth to try to get in. So you got basically somebody fighting for their lives, and one guy.
He's just trying to stick his arm in, I guess.
Yeah, trying to get in.
And trying to hold the door
Right,
open.
trying to hold the door.
Yeah. He's actually lucky he didn't lose more fingers.
Oh,
no
yeah.
kidding.
Yeah.
I mean, because I would think if you're trying to grab something, you've got all four.
More
around
than
there.
one.
He must have
sure.
felt the push and maybe tried to yank his
away.
hand.
Oh, yeah.
Might be his pinky. Might be the
true,
pinky.
yeah.
That's the last one.
Oh,
Well,
geez.
I doubt if it was a glass door though, because they said he shot through the door.
Yeah, he shot through. Well, or while he was pushing the door
Or it
open.
could be, yeah.
But he
Yeah.
grazed the guy that he was struggling with. So
Oh, wow.
the guy didn't actually get shot, but he
Right.
did get grazed by the bullet,
Thank
which
God.
is close
Yeah.
enough. Oh, man. All right, just ahead here, 8:05. We know not to trust most media. We know to be skeptical of, frankly, all media, including this. I'm saying be skeptical of what we tell you. Think for yourself. We know to be skeptical of public education, higher education, woke philanthropy, frankly, a lot of woke activism businesses. But are we to the point now where we can't trust our doctors? Well, if not yet, we're probably headed that direction, and I'll prove it to you at 8:05 here on 101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
Since 2007, the state of Missouri and local governments have handed out almost $5 billion in tax subsidies or abatements to private developers. That money could have gone to basic services like schools and public safety. And studies show these subsidies don't produce the promised jobs and growth. If developers want to build a sports stadium or shopping mall, why should they be given our tax dollars to do it? It's time to reform economic development subsidies. The Show Me message has been brought to you by Show Me Institute and Show Me Opportunity.
Hey, Columbo here for our family dentist, Dr. Matt Boscia at New Creation Dental Care, a one-stop solution for all your family's dental needs, including braces. Dr. Boscia uses the My Forever Smile Braces system, which straightens teeth many times in less than a year for half the price of traditional braces. Traditional braces or Invisalign can cost $6,000 or more, but Dr. Boscia only charges $29.98 for My Forever Smile, and incentives and insurance can lower the price even more. Plus, New Creation offers in-office financing. Learn more at newcreationdentalcare.com. UnitedHealthcare.com.
Life insurance is one of those things that just about everybody needs, but few people actually have. Hey, if you die unexpectedly without life insurance, guess what? You'll leave your family with even a bigger mess. Life insurance will help replace your family's income. It'll help cover burial expenses. Life insurance can even help pay off debt like credit cards and medical bills. Life insurance can even pay for college. And if you own a business and you die, life insurance can help your business from collapsing. It can even help cover estate taxes. Life insurance has never been more affordable and needed. Plus, you can always shop around even if you have a plan and save some money. So call the Life Insurance Quote Line right now for free pricing information.
800-979-3060. 800-979-3060. 800-979-3060. That's 800-979-3060.
KLGY HD3 Clayton, K270BW Bellefonte, KNVS Bowling Green. This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1, and always streaming at NewstalkSTL.com.
Breaking news this hour from townhall.com. I'm Rich Thomason. The latest inflation numbers are just in. The government's consumer price index soared 8.2% last month from a year earlier. The cost of food, medical care, and shelter playing a big role in the increase, offset to some degree by falling gas prices, which are now on the rise again. The hotter-than-expected inflation report driving stock futures deep into the red. Next year's cost of living adjustment for Social Security recipients, expected to be significant, fueled by record high inflation, could be the biggest raise in 40 years. Sounds like Mitch McConnell plans to stay put.
The Senate's top Republican has been in a sporadic war of words with the former president ever since he blamed Mr. Trump for instigating the riot at the U.S. Capitol. And the former president has said McConnell should be replaced as leader. Still, observers say no Republican has made an effort to gain support to replace McConnell. Despite once complaining about the quality of some Senate candidates, McConnell has forged loyalty by pumping more than $50 million of PAC money into their campaigns. That includes candidates endorsed by the former president. Bob Agnew reporting.
A Georgia toddler reported missing last week, now presumed dead.
In statements via Twitter, the Chatham County Police Department says law enforcement have notified the family the 20-month-old Quentin Simon is believed dead, and his mother, Leilani Simon, has been named as the prime suspect. The department had earlier said they seized evidence that was being analyzed. Simon told officers that her son was last seen at home in his playpen at approximately 6 a.m. last Wednesday morning.
Correspondent Jennifer King. Connecticut State Police requesting thoughts and prayers for all those impacted by the fatal shooting of 2 on-duty police officers, and the wounding of a third happened last night in Bristol, Connecticut. Watching Wall Street, Dow futures down 511 points. The S&P futures off 76. NASDAQ futures 315 points lower. More on these stories, townhall.com.
Relief Factor, pain relief that's natural, pain relief that works, and pain relief that attacks the source of the pain. That's the experience of tens of thousands of Americans who are taking Relief Factor right now. See their incredible video endorsements at relieffactor.com and then order your 3-week quick starter pack for just $19.95. That's less than $1 a day. Find out if it can work for you like it works for me by ordering your 3-week quick starter pack today. Relieffactor.com, relieffactor.com. Be the next success story.
Hi, my name's Adam Barada. I'm the owner of Advantage Gold, the highest rated precious metals firm in the country. Now, we've won the Best of TrustLink award 4 years in a row because we educate our clients on how to buy gold and silver the right way. We don't pay celebrity spokespeople millions of dollars. We'd rather pass that value on to you. Call 800-900-8000 and speak with one of our experts. We'll send you a free gold kit along with my latest national best-selling book, The Great Devaluation. Call 800-900-8000. Call 800-900-8000.
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Traffic Center.
Northbound on 270 is extra heavy this morning, 55 past Gravway. They've moved to crash off to the right side, though. And then once you clear that, there are some pockets running up through Doherty Ferry in Manchester. On 55 northbound, add about 10 extra minutes to your commute, running up through Webster and Gasconade. A crash on 67 northbound past Buck Creek, between Buck Creek and Route CC. They're blocking the right lane. It's volume on 64 eastbound, Chesterfield Parkway west to Timberlake. Ballast to Spady's pretty heavy, and then 170 in towards Big Big Bend is pretty slow. 70 eastbound K to 79 has some heavy pockets. This report is sponsored by Wendy's. Wendy's new home-style French toast sticks are so good, some are saying they're better than their mom's French toast. Crispy on the outside, fluffy on the inside, perfect in every way. Try Wendy's new home-style French toast sticks today. See if they're better than your mom's. I'm Joe Sonderman from the News Talk STL Traffic Center.
From the News Talk STL Weather Center.
A cool start to a nice autumn day. Plenty of sunshine today and a high of 66 degrees, but boy, does it get windy. In fact, there's a red flag warning across the area for strong winds and low humidity, abundant fuel, elevating fire danger today. But again, 66 and sunny with gusts up to 35 miles per hour. Cool again tonight, mid-40s, high tomorrow in the mid-70s, and still pretty breezy. I'm KMOV First Alert meteorologist Kent Earhart.
This hour of News Talk STL brought to you by House Sold Easy. Looking to sell a house fast? Call David today at 314-293-3000. That's David with House Sold Easy at 314-293-3000.
Mike Ferguson here. Retirement should be a time you can relax. No more stress from work. But there's one thing you can't forget about when retiring. That's your money. Do you have enough saved to fund your income for life and keep up with inflation? How will you claim your Social Security benefits? And what about long-term care? The ClearPath Wealth Management Group at Stifel is here to help answer all of these questions. You can hear their latest views on the markets and investing during On the Money, hosted by Stifel financial advisors Bob Stockdale and Eric Robert, every Saturday morning at 9 right here on News Talk STL. They can help you get organized, guide you through critical retirement decisions, and create an investment portfolio designed around your needs. To schedule your free retirement plan consultation, go to clearpathinvesting.com. That's clearpathinvesting.com, or call 636-695-2650, 636-695-2650. Stifel Nicholas and Company Incorporated, member SIPC and NYSE. The
midterm election. Decision 22 News.
It's going to put some pressure on all of us to up our game.
Decision 22 Analysis.
A midterm election route.
Decision 22 Opinion.
You're going to enter a problem.
Decision 2022 happens on News Talk STL. Mike Ferguson.
Just because you're offended, it doesn't mean you're right.
Gabe Pfeiffer.
I love Jesus. He was my superhero.
Get up! Get up! Can't you hear the alarm?
Twitter is like being able to read every toilet wall in the world.
Mike Ferguson in the morning on News Talk STL.
Get up! Get up! This is your cousin.
There's sometimes I just feel dismayed, guys.
Yes.
And
many times.
one of the keys of a healthy society is being a high trust society. Mm-hmm. And we are on the way, if we're not already, into a low trust society situation. Think of all the institutions we just should not trust anymore. The institutions that don't earn our trust anymore. And I'm talking K through 12 education.
Mm-hmm.
That used to be something that should not have been influenced by politics or ideology. Parents just recently, over the last couple of years, have awakened to the fact that we've got to keep an eye on this. This is some radical fringe stuff that's happening, and we're seeing all the damage being done by that. Higher education we've known about for a long time.
Yeah, and I think it's kind of like patient zero here.
Yeah. And also the philanthropic world, the big charities, the nonprofits that have gone to the extremist leftist authoritarian viewpoint, and activism in corporate America as well as a battleground. We hear about that quite a bit. I'm Mike Ferguson, by the way. It's 8:07. Gabe and Kenner here. But in the end, you should be able to go to the doctor and know that the doctor is just simply giving you medical advice and medical treatment.
That'd be nice.
And I still like to think that's where we are right now. But the medical community is changing, and they are making their priority this leftist activism. Okay? Evidence piece number one. This is a sort of, not a swearing in, but kind of an oath-taking ceremony of medical students, first-year medical students.
I'm curious if this is standard. Is this standard?
I hope not, because somebody just simply recorded all these first-year medical students in their brand new white coats that they were just given, reciting this oath that they're taking, and you're going to hear the guy leading them, and you can kind of hear the students reciting it along with him. So here's part one of this, and listen for what they're prioritizing as medical practitioners that they're training to be, and listen to what's not in this oath that they're taking.
With gratitude, we, the students of the University of Minnesota Twin Cities Medical School class of 2026, stand here today among our friends, families, peers, mentors, and communities who have supported us in reaching this milestone. Our institution is located on Dakota land. Today, many Indigenous people throughout the state, including Dakota and Ojibwe, call the Twin Cities home. We also recognize this acknowledgement is not enough.
Okay, I mean, that doesn't have anything to do with medicine, but if you're going to start off with that, okay, fine. But at least you're gonna then focus on your oath to learn so that you can do medicine and do
Right.
doctoring and heal people, right? I mean, that's what we're doing. Okay, well, here's the rest of this oath. I'm just going to play the rest of the thing all the way through, a little bit longer than a typical soundbite, a little over a minute here, but this is what they've got the students reading and reciting along with the doctor, who I am pretty sure probably has his pronouns and his profiles on his website, but that's a whole other thing.
We commit to uprooting the legacy and perpetuation of structural violence deeply embedded within the healthcare system. We recognize inequities built by past and present traumas rooted in white supremacy, colonialism, the gender binary, ableism, and all forms of oppression.
So the gender binary, ableism, you mean prioritizing understanding male and female and wanting to get people to full functionality as we are designed as humans?
That's clearly white supremacy.
That's clearly white supremacy. You can't push that on it.
And the structural violence within the medical system.
Structural violence.
Structural violence.
Everything is violence. So,
Apparently. I didn't know medicine had structural violence, though.
Jeez. Well,
it's amazing. All of the buzzwords, it's the same type of buzzwords you see in one of these papers coming out of a gender theory, CRT style, something ending in studies department,
right?
At a university. That's what that paper is.
Okay, but wait, there's more.
Oh no,
what?
Yes, but wait, there's more.
As we enter this profession with opportunity for growth, we commit to promoting a culture of anti-racism, listening and amplifying voices for positive change.
I just want you to treat my ailment. I just want you to help me figure out which medicine is right. I recently had to have a surgery. I'm glad that my surgeon wasn't sitting there saying, okay, let's talk about your implicit bias. Okay, first of all, a minority doctor and most of the crew were minority who worked on my eye. Just fix my eye.
Yeah. Okay, but before I operate on you, I just need to know, are you for anti-racism?
Right.
Did you have your unconscious bias training?
Yes, do you have Ibram X. Kendi's book in your house?
Oh my God.
Which actually,
you didn't. Well, we have to wait then.
Well, we do. I just think he's an idiot and dishonest.
Well, I understand that you are in an emergency situation right now, but for the sake of equity, these minority patients have to go in before you.
Well, that's the definition of equity,
and I
isn't
concur.
It's restorative justice for past inequalities.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But they sprained their ankle and I'm having a heart attack.
Well, the thing is, in order to make up for the errors of the past based on our structural colonialist, white supremacy based systems, we must see to even minor ailments by minorities first.
And your heart attack just might be the price that we have to pay.
Yeah, because
that
their
we
great
have to pay.
We have to pay.
Because their great grandparent had to wait while they were having a heart attack. Well, my great grandparent got in because of a twisted knee.
Right.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. So
here's more of this oath.
Oh, there's more.
We pledge to honor all indigenous ways of healing that have been historically marginalized by Western medicine.
Okay, just note that real quick. Okay, I'm just saying, note that. Just keep note of that. And first of all, Native American culture. We have had a campaign going back to the 1800s to try to wipe out a lot of Native American culture.
Understood.
We're guilty of that.
Yes.
Not us here sitting in the room. We didn't do it. But the country, we do have a history of that. But keep that in mind, because this is an oath to medical students. Okay, just note that one.
Knowing that health is intimately connected to our environment, we commit to healing our planet and communities. We vow to embrace our role as community members and strive to embody cultural humility. We promise to continue restoring trust in the medical system and fulfilling our responsibilities as educators and advocates. We commit to collaborating with social, political, and additional systems to advance health equity.
Social and political systems.
Yeah.
I don't want my doctor involved in that.
This is the oath that they're telling when you go in to study medicine to become a doctor. This is the framework that you take into it. That's what they're doing right now.
Yeah, they have to exercise their vocation to advance the cause of climate change, right? I mean, that was one of their things for the environment, right?
Health is connected to the environment.
Well, you know what, though? Fewer people on the planet helps the environment.
It does.
That's true.
That's what the research shows. You have a gigantic carbon footprint for 80 years. Maybe we'll make it 60.
Yeah.
Now, remember that part about promoting indigenous ways of healing?
Yes,
okay,
yes.
Remember,
I'm
just
go back
bringing
to
that
that
back
one. Yes,
up.
yes.
We will learn from the scientific innovations made before us and pledge to advance and share this knowledge with peers and neighbors. We recognize the importance of being in community with and advocating for those we serve.
Now, I think medical freedom should include somebody deciding that they want to go to the medicine man on the reservation.
You know, here's part of the thing about Western medicine. Western medicine also supplanted native European ways of doing medicine.
Yes.
I don't know if you guys know this, but there is a lot of medicine that happened not that long ago in Europe that was supplanted by modern Western medicine. It could simply be that it's just a matter of science.
Right.
Or do you think it's white supremacy? Is it white supremacy now that we don't have leeches and bloodletting going on in our hospitals?
I'm just so confused.
Or that hospitals exist because prior to this, they suggested not gathering sick people together because they would hurt each other.
Didn't doctors used to be alchemists?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. So native European ways of doing medicine don't exist anymore either.
314-912-1019. All right, I've still got some follow-up thoughts on this because this isn't just about a stupid petition on a college campus. We deal with that all the time. This is telling these medical students, as you learn to become doctors, this is the framework. This is the mindset you are to bring into becoming a doctor. Activism, ignoring medical fact, and basically political outcomes are what they want to keep in mind when they're practicing medicine.
Well, I want my doctor to be a political activist. I'm sorry.
314-912-1019. Are we going to be at the point where you simply can't trust your doctor anymore and it's another institution that's going to fall and fail us? Let's talk about it on 1019 94.1 News Talk STL.
Get up, St. Louis. It's Mike Ferguson in the morning. Made in St. Louis for St. Louis. It's News Talk STL.
You want to give me more information?
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Traffic Center.
It's busy 270 eastbound approaching Route 3. That's due to construction work this morning. 44 east still loaded up 270 to Big Bend. 55 north, it's Carondelet to Gasconade, so that's doing better. 270 northbound is much better. 55 up to Manchester adds 7 minutes to your commute. Eastbound 70 at Cave Springs, a crash has cleared. Traffic is opening up. Their support sponsored by InvisibleFence.com. Their mission is to keep pets happy and safe with their forever families. Invisible Fence brands technologies make their containment systems the most advanced on the market, giving your pet freedom to enjoy their yard and you confidence in their safety. Visit InvisibleFence.com to schedule your free consultation. Joe Sonderman from the News Talk STL Traffic Center.
If you are on Medicare, you need to listen to this message. Open enrollment for all Medicare participants starts October 15th. This is a very critical time of the year for you to make needed changes to your plan.
This is Mike Butts with MB Health Insurance Agency. Regardless if you are new or renewing your health insurance, the process can be confusing and very time-consuming. MB Health Health is local here in St. Louis, and we will handle your enrollment quickly, properly, and effectively. Find us on the web at mbhealth.com.
MB Health can also help small businesses find the perfect medical coverage for their employees. That's mbhealth.com.
The Vic Porcelli Show.
She's a great conservative author, film producer, Nina May.
And I keep telling my liberal friends, I say, you think you're going to escape this? No, this is exactly what totalitarian governments do. They start with the low-hanging fruit, and then they're going to go after you because they can't trust you. No, we're going to have to line you guys up against the wall and shoot you.
Wow. You have liberal friends?
Vic Porcelli. Live and local weekday mornings at 9 on News Talk STL.
Are you looking for the cheapest prices on car insurance? Then call the Cheap Car Insurance Hotline right now. Hey, you're guaranteed to save money on your car insurance. Most car insurances can be canceled at any time. That means if you find a better deal, you can switch right away. We're not just one company. We offer most of the major brands of car insurance. We're like a discount supermarket for car insurance. And it doesn't matter if you have a good record or a bad driving record. Our agents are experts at finding you the right car insurance for your needs. Our average customer saves hundreds of dollars a year when they call us to switch. So why don't you make this 100% free call right now and see how much you can save on your car insurance. Paid for by AIS Insurance.
800-721-5741. 800-721-5741. 800-721-5741. That's 800-721-5741.
Fox News commentary.
Joe Biden finally admits we could be headed for a recession. Well, no duh. I'm Tommy Lahren. More next.
Businesses don't run on automation or algorithms alone. What powers businesses are your people and the people they serve. At Cintas, your dedicated service reps understand what you need to help you keep your employees feeling safe, comfortable, and performing their best. So your business can too. For workwear, essential cleaning products, first aid and safety supplies, and fire protection services, visit Cintas.com.
Oh, I'm ready!
And get ready for the workday.
The White House has spent the last several months trying to convince us the economy, gas prices, inflation, everything is fine. Well, we weren't fooled then, and we aren't surprised now that Joe Biden is finally having to admit everything isn't roses and unicorns. He told CNN's Jake Tapper, I don't think there will be a recession. If it is, it'll be a very slight recession. That is, we'll move down slightly. Well, Joe, the economic outlook already meets the standard definition of a recession, 2 consecutive quarters of contraction, but who's counting? Gas prices, inflation, shortages, we are experiencing all of it, but yet Joe Biden thinks he's Mr. Popular. He even told Jake Tapper he's still considering running again in 2024 and thinks he can beat Donald Trump. Joe, you can't even read a teleprompter or ride a bicycle. Who do you think you are kidding? 830 days left, people. God help us. Let's get to 2024. I'm Tommy Lahren.
St. Louis's new choice for conservative talk.
What citizen wouldn't want to make America great again?
Live and local.
And their leadership has been substandard.
I think the word substandard is immensely polite.
This is News Talk STL. Talk lines are open now at 314-912-1019. Get up. It's Mike Ferguson in the morning. This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1, 99.1 HD3 and newstalkstl.com.
Doctor's orders, right?
Oh, doctor's
orders.
Yeah. Remember when that meant something?
Yeah, and to a lot of people it still does because you're not allowed to question. They're
right.
a doctor. Who are you? Are you an epidemiologist? Are you a biologist? Are you a surgeon? And that was used to shut down people questioning anything.
I remember that. Oh my gosh! It's like, oh, show me your medical degree to question whether or not the vaccine is as effective as it. Remember that?
Oh yeah, absolutely. You know, I mean, I'm doing shows in the midst of this, and I am actually looking back, and I am proud to say that I've been questioning it from the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
Now I have not gone on full on. There was some crazy conspiracy stuff out there. I mean,
like chips in the
the vaccine, and they're going to try. I mean, there was some really stupid stuff out there.
Yes.
But arguing against the mandates, arguing against the shutdowns, arguing against mandatory quarantines, arguing against mask orders, all of these things that we turned out to be right, and not all the so-called experts. And so now, if you're just joining us, by the way, it's 8:23 here on 101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL, probably 8:23 wherever you are as well. But we've got this oath that's being administered to these first-year college students in Minnesota, medical school students in Minnesota, and they pledged everything except something that had to do with actual medicine. They pledged to squash the white supremacy and squash the thought of non or binary genders. They swore in their oath to become environmental activists and political activists and to
dismantle white supremacy in the system.
Uprooting structural violence in medicine.
Right.
Yes.
Equity, because apparently if you're sick, some doctor is going to punch you. Or I don't know. Whatever structural violence in the healthcare system is. And so all of these checkpoints of authoritarianism, none of what those medical students were taking an oath to do had anything to do with actual medical treatment, had anything to do with respecting the patient, had anything to do with putting aside your biases in treating people, but to become activists on everything else. So what we have here, and hopefully this is the exception rather than the rule, but if it's in this state school, it's in a few others, and it's probably what's taking over because we know the American Medical Association is adopting these standards, especially on the gender dysphoria type stuff. So what's happening now is that if you are not in the habit of questioning your doctor and making sure that you're making the decision, you'd better get in that habit and teach your kids to do that as well.
This is the new medical ethics. Because that's the thing. When you look at leftist ideology, it very much has this quality to it where it says you're a good person if you believe X, Y, and Z, right? So believing X, Y, and Z, working towards X, Y, and Z, which is all this this stuff that we were just talking about, that is ethical behavior. So this is just a new version of the ethical oaths or medical ethics that doctors are supposed to follow now. So of course it's going to be part of this white coat mafia indoctrination session.
They were all wearing white coats, by the way.
Yeah, they were. That was their thing.
Oh yeah, it's like being made in the mafia.
So it gives an apple a day, keeps the doctor away, a whole new meaning. I'm going to get a whole bunch of apples.
Yes, but were they grown in fair trade settings?
Are they free roam
I'll be
apples?
called out by my doctor, I guess.
This is free roam apples.
The free range
ranging apples.
The indigenous population will get pissed off if I do it any other way.
Here's the frustrating thing and the scary thing on this is that in the future, at some point, I really do think we're going to get there in this country, and there may be doctors' offices with this now, where they come in and their priority is the political and social activism. I mean, these particular students just took an oath to make that a priority.
Yeah.
That they walk in and your actual healthcare decisions and treatment is secondary. Because none of that oath right there had anything to do with actually learning to be a doctor.
No.
Not a good one anyway. Now, it only takes, I mean, as many people as there were in this room, it only takes one or two of them to rise to the level of being to running a hospital or to sitting on a medical board or to be the chair of a medical department at another university. And their influence will be wide-ranging and long-lasting, and it will infiltrate every aspect of the medical profession and therefore you and your children and your grandchildren's lives.
So what do we do about this?
That's the question.
Yeah.
And
I would honestly say that first off, when you're looking for a doctor, you need to be whittling through the doctors and find out and interview them and find out what they're about.
We may have to come up with a list of questions to ask a doctor when you're a new patient. It's like, so what's your I mean, I hate to say it, but basically we may need what kind of test is it? An ideological test for our doctors.
Yeah.
So that we know that they're going to treat us based on medicine as opposed to based on leftist ideology.
And you can do that by saying simple questions, and I just think one off the top of my head, do you believe in ivermectin, hydroxychloroquine?
Well, one of the other things I hate about the system as it is right now is we're just processed through as it is. Okay, like for instance, I go into a follow-up for this eye surgery that I had. You walk in, you're checked in, you sit here and you wait while one nurse, does this one thing, and then I'm going to go in and get and then eventually the actual surgeon comes in and he looks at me for about 3 minutes and says, "Okay, everything looks good, and you can schedule the next appointment out front." That's how they're doing this to process so they can, make the insurance claims, 30 times an hour.
Keep the money moving.
Keep it moving. That's what the system's been set up for. So for those who are complaining that the system is all about the money, at this point it's becoming all about the ideology. And none of it is about the actual health of the patient. The more competition we have, if doctors knew they had to be interviewed about something and had to earn your confidence and your trust, you would have a lot of doctors who are far more focused on actually showing that they care about your health and giving you good advice and good treatment.
And really, if patients understood the cost that went into various things, they would be making different decisions too. I think as it relates to because right now it's just, the government's paying for so much, or our insurance company is paying for so much, or not paying for so much as we've seen, and everything is disconnected. We're not actually consumers of our medicine so much as we're kind of like the products of the medical world right now. And right now that product there's an attempt to shape the product through leftist ideology. And that's the scary aspect of it. Like,
we're processed.
We're being processed. Yeah.
We're being processed, and that's part of the conditioning.
Ugh.
And that's where we are in the country. I think that's where we're going. My hope is that there is an alternative that that develops maybe some of these subscription membership, micro clinics that are happening. I do think that some of the natural health has a lot to offer. It should never replace, developments in modern science, but I do think there is something to it the older I get. And some of these, like I said, these membership-based ones where you are the customer, and if they want to keep you as a subscribing customer, they had better be there and deliver good results for you. And so maybe that's the alternative. Maybe that's what develops.
We need an off-ramp for sure.
The ideological oath that they took is not going to affect their income unless we make it affect their income, and that would be by basically scrutinizing who your doctor is going to be.
314-912-1019. This is 1019 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
Watch us on our live stream using Rumble, Facebook, and Twitter. You're listening to Mike Ferguson in the morning. Made in St. Louis, for St. Louis. It's News Talk STL. Subscribe and watch your favorite News Talk STL shows. Mike Ferguson in the morning. The Vic Porcelli Show. Columbo and Katie. Jones and Arps. Webcam streaming on Facebook, Twitter, Rumble. Subscribe and watch News Talk STL.
From the News Talk STL newsroom, I'm Joey Vasovich. A recent study by Wallet Hub ranks St. Louis as the least safe community in America out of 182 cities based on an aggregate score for home and community safety, natural disaster risk, and financial safety. Mayor Tashara Jones responded by saying she doesn't get her news from a place that does credit bureau reporting. Yesterday, the board for the Regional Convention and Sports Complex Authority, which owns the Dome at America Center, again voted unanimously to reinvest the Rams settlement money in higher-yielding securities, this time specifically endorsing 3-month U.S. Treasury bills through Commerce Bank that could earn 3.25%. The settlement money is currently in a trust fund, earning 1.89%. Missouri Lieutenant Governor Mike Kehoe, along with Spectrum, announced yesterday that much of Pike County is now eligible for high-speed internet service. It is all part of the Rural Digital Opportunity Fund program. Yingling, the oldest operating brewery in America, announced it is bringing its beer to Missouri early next year. Until coming to Missouri, the nearest places to get the popular beer was in Arkansas or Indiana. And in sports, the River City HBCU Classic football game that was scheduled to take place Sunday at the Dome has been canceled and will now take place in Arkansas. Organizers are blaming Explore St. Louis for interfering with ticket sales, while Explore St. Louis says they bent over backwards for the organizer. For in-depth coverage of these stories and more, go to newstalkstl.com.
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Traffic Center.
We're doing a lot better here in the last few minutes. Watch out for some road work. 270 eastbound between the Chain of Rocks Bridge and Illinois Route 3. It's crowded but moving. 44 eastbound headed through the work zone at Big Bend. 270 north still has some pockets, but only a couple of minutes added to your commute between Big Bend and Manchester. 55 north, it's just sluggish. Loughborough up to Gasconade at about 3 minutes there. This support sponsored by the USA and Sci-Fi's Chucky. I'm Joe Sonderman from the News Talk STL Traffic Center.
A new season is here, and with it, major delays being reported due to another killer doll with a shady plan. Just how many Chuckies are there? Chucky is here to chuck stuff up, including our freeways. Chucky Season 2, Wednesdays 9/8 Central, only on USA and Sci-Fi.
From the News Talk STL Weather Center.
A cool start to a nice autumn day. Plenty of sunshine today and a high of 66 degrees. But boy, does it get windy. In fact, there's a red flag warning across the area for strong winds and low humidity, abundant fuel, elevating fire danger today. But again, 66 and sunny with gusts up to 35 miles per hour. Cool again tonight, mid-40s, high tomorrow in the mid-70s, and still pretty breezy. I'm KMOV First Alert meteorologist Kent Earhart.
Michael's Flooring Outlet is a locally owned and operated family business for more than 28 years, featuring exclusive products, unbeatable prices, and expert installation. You can choose from a wide variety of flooring options, including carpet, hardwood, laminate, ceramic tile, luxury vinyl, natural stone, plus many other options. And you'll gain a peace of mind knowing that your flooring and carpet installation will be done right the first time when you hire the experts at Michael's. You can shop in-store at one of their 3 convenient locations or shop from home online. Check out everything Michael's Flooring has to offer at igotfloored.com. Are you downright disgusted with the corruption of our Democratic leadership at St. Louis City Hall that's been reported in the news?
Hi, this is Mary Teresa McClain, Chair of the Republican Party City of St. Louis. If you want to put our city that we all love back on track, you must get involved. If you're ready to be part of the solution, we invite you. Come and meet us. Learn more at stlouisrepublicans.com.
Paid for by St. Louis City Republican PAC. Curtis Farber, Treasurer.
Does your current bathroom need to be updated immediately? Introducing One Day Bath and Shower Remodeling, the complete and hassle-free way to get the new bathroom of your dreams in as little as 1 day, and for as little as $199 a month. Yes, the experts at One Day Bath and Shower Remodeling will come to you anywhere in the country and show you all the customized options. Now you can have a brand new bathroom in as little as 1 day. Large or small bathrooms, if you want a new bathtub or shower installed, we can do it in as little as 1 day. And if you call right now, you can save $750 off your remodel. We make it easy by offering you financing as low as $199 per month. Call now to schedule your free in-home consultation.
855-672-1566. 855-672-1566. That's 855-672-1566.
If you find yourself feeling out of place in the world, it's comforting to know conservative values haven't been abandoned everywhere.
The far left wants to destroy conservative values in America.
This is News Talk STL. Welcome home. Talk lines are open now at 314-912-1019. Get up, St. Louis. It's Mike Ferguson in the morning. Made in St. Louis for St. Louis. It's News Talk STL.
Hey, quick note. If you're taking your kid into school in the Melville School District, don't. Turns out they had a technology and computer, internet, hardware, everything issue, and so classes are canceled in Melville today. The sports games that are scheduled for tonight are still on, but the online learning and in-person learning is just a day off for the kids today, and practice is called off too, but the games are on. So apparently they can't do chalkboards or whiteboards anymore, Gabe. It's just the computers and the phones don't work, the internet doesn't work, so therefore we can't teach kids.
Oh, yeah. See, that's how that works. The computers actually run everything. The teachers are just there to facilitate.
Pretty much. That's just such a weird thing. I'm like, how did we possibly survive and get educated for the last, 200 years before that? But anyway, FYI, now you know. White House has released a sneak peek of the application process for the student loan forgiveness program that they have proposed. There are some people who say, whoa, boy, you could really have some fraud with taking that approach. Fox Business Network's Madison Allworth has the story.
The White House saying that borrowers will have to only submit their name, social security number, and date of birth to register. Very important to note, borrowers will only have to self-certify that they meet the income criteria. And that part right there could create a huge fraud problem. Those that qualify are supposed to make less than $125,000 a year, or households that make $250,000 a year or less. The White House is saying that they are going to be more critical of applicants that make close to those numbers, but they're not asking for proof of income levels.
And those applications are expected to open this month online. The total, now this news copy calls it a payout. It's not a payout. It's a reduction in the debt that you're supposed to pay. Could end up costing between $400 and $500 million.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Hey, more inflation. Why not?
Yeah. So because these are the money, repaying this is what's supposed to pay for the other student loans of students down the road. So if this isn't paid back, then where's the money going to come to provide grants and loans for other students?
Stop asking logical questions.
I know.
Buddy. It's just going to hurt your bro.
Was it better when you had to go get private loans and you actually had to apply for it and qualify for it? I mean,
yes.
There were people who said, well, but if you're from, a very economically depressed area, you had very little chance of getting a student loan, and that was fair too. That's what a lot of Pell Grants were for as well. But I remember applying for loans like from the bank, who were in the business of providing loans, and they were looking at, are you a good risk or not to loan this money to?
Yeah, I mean, I had to get a private loan at some point, you basically just had to let them know what your major was, and I think that's what actually did it. Not the fact that I was coming from a relatively poor area and poor economic circumstances. They saw, oh, this guy's going to be an engineer. And they say, we're going to get our money back.
That's right.
And they did.
Yeah. All right. The private sector stepping up to help animals in the area.
Oh, that's fun.
Did you hear about this? Mm-mm. Okay, so the APA, Animal Protective Adoption Center, the APA, is taking over the management of the St. Louis County Pet Adoption Center, the one over on Olivet. So the Pet Adoption Center, under the county auspices, they put out a request like, all right, let's do a contract for somebody else to manage this. And so the private nonprofit sector is going to come in and manage that instead of the county government, which is going to be a good thing.
Oh, absolutely. I think isn't the county government kind of in a lawsuit about that whole deal? Yeah. So
there's a lot of problems there. So the APA runs a really good organization. That's where we got Rosie the cat.
Yep.
Ken, that's where he got a couple of his pets. My daughter got Toothless the cat. Toothless actually has teeth. Toothless just looks like the dragon in the How to Train Your Dragon because he's like
I love that
black
name.
And shiny. Yeah.
Same color eyes too.
I think so.
Green.
I think so.
I think it's green, right?
Yeah. And it's funny because she has spoiled that cat rotten.
Of course.
I mean, to a bad. I'm like, Amber, your cat is fat.
He's a chunky cat.
She's like, he's just well fed and happy. I'm like, he's fat.
No. Cats are happier when they can jump on furniture.
Yeah, he's fat. But she just he meows at her and gives her the eyes, and she can't help but give him a treat or something like that. But yeah. Anyway, so our cat, her cat, we got those at APA on Hanley Road.
Just make them chase lasers or something.
That's right. Yes. Which the APA Adoption Center on Hanley Road is still going to operate. So that's not going anywhere. They're just expanding their footprint and probably going to do a much better job managing that system as well.
Well, there's so really good people there. They've got so much passion for those pets too.
Yeah, absolutely.
Definitely get your critters from there.
It was hard for me to walk out of there with just one animal.
Oh, yeah.
That was tough.
They're all looking at you, giving you the eyes.
Yeah.
Come on. You want another one, don't you?
And I at this point, I couldn't do it because Rosie's territorial, and if I introduced another animal, that would not go over well at all.
Have a fight on your hands.
She's very territorial, so we can't do another one. But she's been a great addition to the house.
That's awesome.
So, yeah, get it from APA. I mean, there's other good ones around the area too, but APA is really good. I really like them. How about this? Thanksgiving is just about 6 weeks away.
Really?
6 weeks away. Yeah, think about that. But here's the thing. Farmers are warning shoppers turkeys may be harder to come by this year. Fox News' Jeff Paul explains why.
According to the USDA, roughly 5.6 million turkeys died after being exposed to bird flu in early 2022. Avian influenza was spread by migrating birds, and it nearly crippled farmers in the Midwest, which is the highest turkey-producing region in the U.S. Other birds, including chickens and the production of their eggs, were also affected by the disease. It's not just bird flu contributing to the shortage, though. Thanks to inflation, the cost of raising turkeys is also on the rise. Experts say those looking to gobble up some turkey this upcoming holiday should shop now because prices are going to get higher when supplies run low. In Los Angeles, Jeff Paul, Fox News.
So buy your turkey now and put it in the deep freeze. Or if you're going to put in the order and have order the meal, which a lot of people do, we do that. I would do it now. Get your order, get it in line, get the priority, because at some point, if the supply is too low and they have to cut off the orders that they're taking, make sure that yours is in there.
I'm telling you to get all of your meat now. Get it early, like in the next month or two, because the supply is going. Not only is the supply going down, but the price is going way up because, like you said, the feed has gone up. Yep. So that's impacting all of your meats. So get ready.
All right, before we go to the next information break, a few hiring events happening around the St. Louis area the next few days. Kohl's holding a national hiring event in St. Louis starting, today. They're looking for about 800 store associates in the retail setting. Careers.kohls.com is where you go for more information on that. The post office has a job fair that's going to happen next week on Wednesday. That's going to be in O'Fallon at the O'Fallon Post Office. And speaking of animal organizations, the Humane Society of Missouri is now looking to hire several people as well. They've got a job fair starting at noon today at the headquarters building on Macklin that goes from noon to 6. And the Humane Society and Kohl's have both said, and this is interesting, if you qualify and they like you, you will get a job offer on the spot. So if you don't have a job but you want a job, you can walk in without a job and walk out with a job.
Kohl's is a good place. My wife spends way too much time there. So
does she track her Kohl's? What do they call them? Kohl's
dollars. Cash.
Kohl's cash.
Yeah,
that's what it is.
Oh, every time we get something there, they give her Kohl's cash, and she looks at me and goes, "Well, we have to come back."
Yep, that's how it works.
Your wife and my mom,
man,
they could compare notes on those things. Oh, wow. All right, 314-912-1019. This is 1019-94.1 News Talk STL.
For podcast articles and more, find us on NewstalkSTL.com. Get up. It's Mike Ferguson in the morning. Made in St. Louis for St. Louis. It's News Talk STL. From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Traffic Center.
Got a very serious crash reported southbound on 67 in front of St. Francis State Park. Just watch it if you happen to be in that area. 270 eastbound before Route 3. They've got the right lane closed for road work, and that is stacking up to the Chain of Rocks Bridge. Give yourself 13 extra minutes to get through that. Otherwise, it's normal volume for this time of day. 55 north is busy, Loughborough to Gasconade. 270 north, it's just Big Bend to Manchester, and that's looking better. 70 eastbound is thinned out at Cave Springs, where we had an earlier crash. Their support sponsored by Blindster. Need new blinds or shades? Go to Blindster.com for custom-made blinds, shades, and shutters shipped right to you at prices less than the big box retailers. Blindster blinds are easy to install. They're guaranteed to fit, too. Don't overpay for new blinds. Shop today and save big at Blindster.com. I'm Joe Sonderman from the News Talk STL Traffic Center.
Columbo and Katie.
Packed show on Thursday. We'll talk to Crane Durham at 2:25. Then we'll go to the nation's capital and check in with Washington Examiner White House correspondent Christian Daytalk at 3:05.
Weekdays at 2 on News Talk STL.
Hi, this is Joe Cordell with the law firm Cordell & Cordell. Divorce can be complicated, especially if children are involved. If you're a father and want to protect your role in your children's lives, remember Cordell & Cordell. We've helped men with matters like these for 30 years, and we'd love to help you.
Contact Cordell & Cordell to schedule an appointment with one of our firm's St. Louis area attorneys. 600 Kelwood Parkway, Suite 310, Town & Country, Missouri, 63017. Online at CordellCordell.com. The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely upon advertisements.
Finding great candidates to hire can be like, trying to find a needle in a haystack, but not with ZipRecruiter. Its powerful technology actively finds and invites qualified candidates to apply to your job. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you the needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. Try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free.
Packages start at $29.99 a month with signed agreement. Restrictions apply. Speak to a representative for complete offer details. See Vivint.com for license details. Terms and conditions apply.
Homeowners, if you're looking for the best in home security and smart home technology at a price you can actually afford, we have great news. Now you can get Vivint's award-winning home security systems starting at about $1 a day. U.S. News and World Report has recognized Vivint as the best professionally installed home security system of 2022. And right now, you can get Vivint's home security technology for about $1 a day. Plus, get free professional installation from a licensed technician. Protect your home and loved ones for as low as $1 a day. Call right now for your free home security consultation.
800-561-3405. 800-561-3405. 800-561-3405. That's 800-561-3405.
Welcome home to St. Louis's new choice for conservative talk.
Joe Biden has made Americans poor. They have no plan to fix all the problems they created.
101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL. Like us on Facebook at News Talk STL. Mike Ferguson in the morning. We give you news, analysis, opinion, and more. Only on News Talk STL. This is News Talk STL at 101.9, 94.1, 99.1 HD3 and NewstalkSTL.com.
Want to mention that crazy, I hate the term viral video, but it happened. It was in the St. Louis area. A little close to home for Gabe here. We'll talk about that in just a minute. Josh Hawley, I just want to mention this. Josh Hawley was on with Laura Ingraham last night, and he was asked about the corruption that's happening in the federal government under the Biden administration. And the corruption in the federal government's been going on for years. It's not like it's a brand new thing with Joe Biden. It's been around, but the Biden administration seems to be encouraging it. And here's what Senator Hawley had to say.
Well, I think what we've seen, Laura, in the last 2 years is we've gotten an up-close look at the corruption that is in our government, whether we're talking about the FBI, whether we're talking about DOJ, or whether we're talking about the kind of self-dealing that you have just outlined. And Republicans need to get serious about rooting out this corruption. It has got to be priority number one. By the way, Congress can start with itself. You want to talk about not doing self-dealing? How about Congress pass an actual stock trading ban, which is what I propose? If Republicans want to lead on this issue, this ought to be something that they run on. This ought to be something that we pledge to do. I've introduced the legislation. Let's get it done. And once we ban stock trading among members of Congress, let's turn to DOJ. Let's turn to the FBI. Let's have a top-to-bottom review of what's going on at these increasingly corrupt agencies.
Or you could do both.
Yes, get all of them. Yeah. Get them.
We've got these alphabet soup agencies now being enlisted on political battles that we are seeing across the country, and we don't have time to go into it fully here, but I do think the majority of Americans will react very well to having a complete house cleaning and getting these agencies back on track. I mean, if the FBI were back to being law enforcement and stopping a terrorist attack or hunting down an interstate crime ring, and that's all it did, I think that whoever is responsible for cleaning that up will get a lot of credit. We'll have a huge amount of political capital for doing the right thing. But the alphabet soup agencies are just generally out of control, including the law enforcement ones, completely.
Yeah, I've lost a ton of confidence, particularly in the federal law enforcement, particularly the FBI. I remember back in the day, I was always thinking, well, the leadership may go crazy one day and decide that they want to send the feds after us for X, Y, and Z. But there are enough of like-minded people in the rank and file that they're going to prevent those things from happening. That was my belief. Yeah. That was my belief at the time years ago.
You're not going to be able to completely root out a culture of doing the right thing. And I think that they've replaced the culture.
Yeah, and I think that's exactly what happened. They replaced the culture.
This is something I've been thinking about when I watch the TV show FBI and FBI International. I think to myself, would be so nice if they were really that way.
Yeah.
I mean, because I used to think the same way, Gabe. I used to think, well, the leadership, the top echelon of FBI people, those are the ones that are the bad seeds,
They're
right?
political, right?
They're political. And the rest of the people, the rank and file, they're the ones that are actually nose to the grindstone, working hard every day. I just don't think that that's the case anymore. I really don't. I think there's something else going on.
There are a lot of true believers now on the ground, and they're going to take those orders and go and knock down your door, even if you're just a pastor with your 5 kids.
Yeah,
You know what the best FBI show though is?
What's that?
Criminal Minds.
Oh yeah,
love that show.
That's a great show.
Yeah,
but it actually is a little hard to watch it now, knowing the way the FBI has gone, because
I know
I have to do the suspension of disbelief, and I just want to believe that they're all that passionate about catching bad guys, but we know that's not necessarily the case anymore.
Jubal on the FBI show that I'm watching. Jubal is his name. He's one of the directors, I guess.
Yeah, I got to look that one up. I haven't seen.
He's so passionate, He's got to get that job done. He's so heartfelt, and all that. And I'm just thinking to myself, got to separate the two.
Yeah. There was a video that went around, and Ken, you mentioned this a little bit earlier, and I'd seen the video, but I figured it was just another one of those big brawls that goes out. I mean, for a little while, it was the World Star Hip Hop website. That,
World Star!
Yeah, World Star.
You gotta say it.
Basically just put, stupid videos up of people fighting and being really trashy and stuff like that. And this one was obviously in a Walmart, and I saw them like, oh, great, another one of those. And you just shake your head. But it turns out that was actually here.
Yeah.
That was
crazy.
here.
That's crazy to me.
This was in North County.
Yeah, and not just here. That's one of my Walmarts, guys.
Yeah,
right.
It's like I'm looking at the video. I was like, wait a minute.
Yeah, because I mentioned it. I said, I'm looking at it. I'm like, wait a minute, that's the Missouri flag.
Yeah.
And then I'm listening to it. And okay. All
Wait,
right.
you said West Florissant? You mean like right off the highway near my house? It's like, okay.
And
all right.
I don't know what the fight was all about, but it was insane. At one point, a woman grabs, I don't know if it was a metal pipe or a wood pipe. I don't know
It's
what
one of those
was.
divider
It was
stands.
that holds the rope.
So it's a hard plastic.
No, those are metal.
Oh, those are metal?
Yeah. This one
'Cause
was metal,
She
'cause I could hear
clocked
it.
that kid. I mean, I say kid, looked like a teenager.
She went over the head, smacking.
Oh, and she hit her hard.
Oh man,
I was surprised that that other gal was still standing after that, because she got hit hard.
It's wild.
Some people were hitting the floor, and I mentioned this earlier, and I know it sounds stupid for me to say this, and it sounds disrespectful to the people involved only because I want to be disrespectful to the people involved.
Yes.
But this looked like a cartoonish WWF Battle Royale.
Oh yeah.
From the 1980s. I mean, that's what it looked like.
Okay,
Yeah.
you didn't see the other version of it then. Someone else added to it.
Uh-huh.
They did the
the Benny Hill theme on top.
Oh, yeah.
All she put was, it looks a lot. It's a lot more fun when you add the music to it.
Well,
This is
the
true.
Benny Hill music makes everything more fun.
That's
Yeah.
true. That's true.
I mean, there's just nothing.
You got to speed it up a little bit, though, I think.
But you were seeing these things over, and now I understand we have more cell phones out there, so we have instant communication, and people's first instinct is to put something online.
Whip out your phone, post it.
But we are seeing this more and more and more and more and more. I was talking to a guy who works in one of the public schools in that particular area, and he said they were dealing with a discipline issue of a young girl in the high school who got into a fight and hurt somebody, and they were in the office with the principal, and they're dealing with this, and the mom comes in, and he told me the mom was mad at her kid for doing it when she knew there was a camera right there. That's what she was mad about, is that the kid was dumb enough to get caught because you can see the camera right there. And then we wonder why this stuff happens.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've encountered some of these parents, and yes, I totally get why kids act this way these days.
Just because you bear children doesn't mean you're a good parent.
Yeah, absolutely.
No, without a doubt. Oh, my goodness. All right. Don't forget to subscribe to our podcast. Just look up News Talk STL everywhere you get your podcast. Also, look up American Viewpoints, if you would. That's my syndicated program on the weekends. And that every one of my segments get posted as a podcast as well. So I'd love to have you subscribe to both of those, because it's a good way to hear it again, hear it for the first time if you missed it. Send it to people you think might be interested. Vic Porcelli coming your way here at 9:04 and 15 seconds right here on 101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
What if everything you thought and believed to be true about owning and buying your home turned out to be wrong?
Straightforward, objective advice on the right way to make the most out of every dollar you put into your home.
We're the only country that has one of those. Most other countries, considering like Canada, the UK, they don't have long-term fixed-rate mortgages like that. They're all variable-rate mortgages.
HomeWise with Michael Midget, Sunday mornings at 9 on News Talk STL.
From home improvement to replacement, do-it-yourself electrical projects can be shocking. That's where Grasser Electric can help. They've been lighting up St. Louis for years. From ceiling fans and dimmer switches to repair or replacing your electric. No job is too big or too small for your home or business. Grasser Electric will even install emergency backup generators. So call Grasser Electric today before the sparks start to fly. 636-441-5200 or go to grasserelectric.com.
Hey folks, here's great news for active aging seniors. The Kanega Watch, the only medical alert smartwatch with built-in fall detection. Yeah, the Kanega Watch is much different than the other guys. It's a stylish, discreet watch you can wear all the